All right. Here we go. I'm live on my channel. I know Bad Empanada's live on his channel. Hey, are you there?
Yes, indeed.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, it's nice to talk with you. I've heard some about you over the years, and it's
hmm
interesting to finally get a chance to talk. Weird, I guess, series of events that brought us here, but here we are.
Yeah, it's okay. I have no idea who you are.
That's
Um,
fine.
I'm just interested in using you as a proxy to make a video to talk about a topic so that I don't have to make it on my main channel.
That's cool. I will say it's a bit weird you're not on your main channel because you had promoted
I don't stream on
how
my main channel.
yeah, I get it, but you had told me that you have 10 times the viewers that I have. But
Yeah, you get like 1,000 views per video.
well, because they're just live streams. And no, I don't. I
Okay.
get like you could check it out right now. It's like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 views.
You stream
But
on like Majority Report or something?
No, I don't. I stream on my own channel. I got like 29,000 subscribers, which obviously is much less than your main channel, but
Okay.
you're
Well, I'm glad we've gotten the important
right,
details out of the
right,
way
right.
then.
Well, you didn't know. You also didn't want to go on video, which was weird.
I'm on a
Um,
video on my
I know
channel.
on
I just
your
don't want to
end.
set it up.
All right. Also, I just want to do a screen share really quick. I mean, do you usually show your the people that give you the time of day such wonderful respect as to not even put their name in the title or call them Discount Sam Cedar? Very weird.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Yeah. You don't matter, dude. I'm sorry. Your name doesn't bring in viewers.
All right, that's fine. But
You
you know,
you can
usually
use a
it's
derogatory name for me if you want.
your whole thing of not going live on video was you don't care about the whole YouTube debate viewer thing, and then you're telling me that you put
No, I don't go live
discount
on video
Sam
because I just
Cedar, you put
my
discount Sam
stream
Cedar,
is
you put discount
well,
Sam
this is
Cedar for
completely irrelevant.
all
My
right,
stream is a
all
thing
right,
that I do like 4 times a
all
month
right, all right,
when I
discount.
want to make some extra money, right? It's
It's
not
all good.
something that's
All
serious.
right,
So I never
all
set
right.
up video with guests because I have a guest once every 6 months.
That's
Is
cool.
that a
Let's just
sufficient
do. All
answer?
right, let's do this. I'm discount Sam Cedar. Cool. Let's do it. And you
Okay.
are
No problem.
bad,
Discount
bad,
Sam Cedar.
bad empanada. Cool. Okay.
Okay. That's N. Yeah, that's a different letter entirely. It's N. Empanada. Anyway, we can talk about the actual topic that we wanted to talk about, which is just interested in your perception of the whole Nazi Argentina thing.
Okay. We should pretty much let people know where this all started, right?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Sure. So,
So I believe you
you
posted a tweet
sure.
trying to explain the Mexican American who killed like 8 people in a mass shooting covered in Nazi tattoos with like a History Channel article about Nazis in South America.
No, that's actually not exactly what it was, but yeah. Basically, it was the discourse around whether people with Latino or Hispanic names, because the right wing was pushing this whole idea that this Mexican American could not possibly be a Nazi because of their name. They were really focusing on the fact that they
Just
were
his name.
well, his name and also the color of his skin, his
Yeah.
background being from a Hispanic family and having a Latino origin. So they were basically saying there was an article from Axios, the rise of white nationalist Hispanics, and Mike Solana, who's this like right wing VC, shared it and was sort of poo pooing the idea that this could be a thing. White nationalist Hispanics, no way. So, as a play on the
hmm
joke of, hey, open a history book, I literally found one of the first things on this was from a History Channel page. And so I made a joke about how you could even just look at it there. And the title of
hmm
this article is How South America Became a Nazi Haven.
Indeed.
And yeah, it's basically a rundown of some very basic stuff.
Yeah, indeed. It's referring to a stereotype, like a very common stereotype that's used for two purposes. One is to legitimize American imperialism against like the center left in Argentina, and two is to deflect from America being itself a post-war Nazi haven.
No, no, I'm not doing that.
And that's why everyone got angry at you.
No, that's why strictly Argentinians got angry at me because
Yeah,
I've
that's why
heard.
they got angry at you. You know
Yes,
why?
yes,
Because
yes.
these people have never heard of this shit in their entire lives.
That's a
Like the
problem.
perception that
That's a
you
problem.
have
Then
is
that's a real
no,
problem. That's a
no.
real problem.
What I'm saying is they
That's a
haven't
real
heard of
problem.
your. It's not a problem. They haven't heard of your perception of them, which come from a fucking musical.
No, I don't have any
So
perception of them from a musical. I have a
no,
perception.
you do. You absolutely do. You're an
No, I
American.
don't.
You have cultural. Yes, your perceptions of things you don't know much about comes like everyone else comes through cultural osmosis. You don't really know much about certain things, and you have these sort of
You know
stereotypical
nothing about,
ideas of what they're
dude. You
like.
know nothing about me. Why are
I know
you?
about
Why
you're
are
a
you?
generic American. You don't
I'm
know
a
how to pronounce
generic American.
empanada.
Okay, okay. You don't
That's
know.
about all I need to know.
Okay, so I mispronounced empanada. Like,
I
give me a
mean,
break,
I
buddy.
would you like me to provide you some academic articles about this exact stereotype and how it came to be?
It's
I can do it
basic.
right now.
It's like basic history. Like it's basic history. Like
It's
it's.
basic history. What about is basic history?
What do you mean that there were there? I mean, obviously there are white supremacists and neo Nazis, and far right wing extremists,
Well, what does that have to
all over
do
the
with?
world, all over the world.
Yeah, what does this
Yeah.
American one have to do with Argentina, though?
Oh, I was bringing up the fact that yeah, there is a such thing as white supremacist Latinos and Hispanics because that was the premise of the article that I was replying to. That's it.
That
Anything
wouldn't
that
really
you
make much
anything more?
sense
Why
because,
wouldn't it?
for one, for one, Nazis who moved to, let's say, South America, they're not Latinos or Hispanics.
Sure, of course not.
Okay.
But you're acting like they didn't
For
also
two,
decide to set up. But you hold
we're
on,
talking about
hold on,
white
hold on,
people and brown people.
hold on,
The guy who did this in the US was certainly not white or Aryan or whatever the fuck you want to call it, like the Nazis did. So
dude.
referring to that in the first place doesn't really make much sense, does it?
Well, no, it makes plenty of sense because you're under the impression that like the neo Nazis that excuse me the Nazis that left Nazi Germany after the war or during the war and moved to South America, they didn't intertwine and mingle with the people there and have families of people there or share their ideology at the very least with people there. It's
Okay,
not like
like
they
who?
just what.
Did they share them with this guy?
I didn't say this guy. Dude, you're bringing in something
Okay.
completely different because you seem to have
It
misread
seems to me like
the
you're bringing in
entire.
something completely different and irrelevant
How
to the
am I
question at
bringing
hand.
the question at
Well,
hand
it's a
was
Mexican mass shooter in the
are
USA.
there yes, and that's completely on the United States of America and its gun culture and its own neo-Nazi problem. But then there was a
Mhm.
secondary discussion surrounding this whole thing about whether Latinos and Hispanic people can be white supremacist. And I was just bringing up
When Americans use the term Latino and Hispanics, etc., what they mean is brown people. They don't mean like blonde hair, blue eyed neo Nazis. They mean brown people. And I think you know that, or at least, subconsciously you should know that. So
wait,
it
so
doesn't
are
really
you
make much sense to refer to South America. When they're saying that, they're not specifically referring to the fact that he's a Spanish speaker or whatever, or that his parents were from a Spanish speaking country or from Latin America. They're referring to the guy's perceived race.
right? And I'm telling you that they assumed that because he was a brown person with a background, his family came from south of the American border, that he could not possibly be a white supremacist. So I was simply using a historical fact to show how there's actually a long history of this ideology being welcomed or accepted in throughout the world, period. But specifically in this conversation regarding the surrounding conversation around what we were just talking about in South America.
I believe that you are actually referring to a largely erroneous stereotype of Argentina
I never
specifically, not
said the
just
word
South America.
Argentina. I never
We
said the
all know
word
what you mean.
Argentina.
You're an American. We all know what the cultural perception
No,
of these
actually,
so-called Nazi
when
haters.
I think of right wing South American countries, the first country I
Right
think of
wing,
when
not Nazi, right wing.
when I think of far right wing, white supremacist, neo Nazi sort of subcultures going on in South America and spreading there, the first place I would think of actually, simply because of modern times, is actually Brazil. But you're welcome to assume I would think Argentina, I guess, for some reason. Again, I never said
Some reason,
Argentina.
for example, the very long-standing stereotype, specifically in American society,
But
that
dude, you're
Argentina
projecting all
is
sorts
this
of things.
singularly unique, Yeah,
You're
you retweeted people saying this. You literally retweeted
I
people
didn't
saying
retweet.
this as well.
I didn't retweet anyone saying anything. The only people I
Okay.
responded to were Argentinians who came at me to try to say that there's no such thing as racism in their country and the Nazis never went there. Period. And only in my replies to them did I ever bring up the country
Mm-hmm.
Argentina. And you're welcome to look through that because it's all right
Mm-hmm.
there, and all your viewers can. This whole conversation is about you, Bad Empanada, having a projection
Mm-hmm.
of something that didn't happen onto me. You
Ooh,
stereotyped.
projection.
I mean, that's what happened, buddy. I don't know what to
Projection.
tell you. Because
Projection.
whatever you're gonna bring up,
So
I don't agree.
when you brought up Nazis in South America and you referred to a History Channel article specific, this is the History Channel, by the way. The History Channel is notorious for like making documentaries where they claim to have found Adolf Hitler alive in Argentina. They've made like 4 of those. So you cite a History Channel article specifically about Nazis, actual like post-war Nazis escaping to South America. And we all know that when you say that, you're mostly referring to Argentina because that's where the stereotype is, whether
I
you
wasn't
would admit
referring
that or
to
not.
anywhere. I
So you
wasn't
want,
referring to
and then you
anywhere,
deflect
buddy.
that now by referring to Bolsonaro, a contemporary Trump-inspired leader.
Yeah,
Is that right?
because my point. Like,
So
I
you
don't
were
know how
citing
many.
a History Channel article to refer to Bolsonaro when the History
Again,
Channel article was talking about post-war
that's
Nazi
not what I said,
escapees.
dude. You do you have a habit of talking in circles like this? Because not what I said at all. Number one, I said the use of the History Channel was part of the meme of open a history book. You could read it in my tweet. I even reference it. So that's why
So
I
it's
specifically
just
used
a
the History
joke. So
Channel.
you say open a history book and you use
Because
the
on Twitter,
History Channel.
everyone's
So
snarky, just like you're snarky, man.
you intentionally said
I
something that
think
is incorrect
I think you're up.
to own a
How
right
did I?
winger.
So you're saying that there were no Nazis that left Germany and found a safe haven in South America? You're saying that.
That's not what you believe. That's not what you believe.
Dude, I'm telling you what I believe right now, and you can't accept it
Mm-hmm.
because you had your
Mm-hmm.
whole thing, your whole little
Simple question
stream,
for you, my
your
friend.
whole little stream was set up to tackle me on something I never said because
Uh-huh.
you, Bad Empanada, misread the entire tweet. And everyone in the replies when you came at me on Twitter were telling you, dude, you misread it. As long as half of Argentinian Twitter that was coming after me, everyone was telling you guys, I never said Argentina in any single tweet until
That's
I
your
was replying.
scapegoat.
How is that a
Because you're
scapegoat,
an
dude?
American.
How
You're
is
an
that
American referring to a very specific US constructed, by the way. It was constructed before the war was even over. Mythology used to legitimize imperialism. Specifically, this idea of South America being this sort of singular Nazi haven, which is why History Channel articles
No
like that
way. I
exist.
don't believe South America is ever. United States of America, baby, number one in bringing Nazis from Nazi
Mm-hmm.
Germany. And not only were they the number one in bringing
Mm-hmm.
them, number one in turning a blind eye or helping other countries also do the same. I mean, the
Indeed.
United States of America knew all about the rat lines. That's nothing new, man.
They didn't just know about them, they were
And
them.
certain, yeah, in some
Either way,
instances, yeah, they helped set
Either
them up.
way,
No
so
doubt
you
about
have
it.
a bunch of people. You have a bunch of people angry at you for spreading this stereotype. This stereotype, by the way, which is specifically weaponized against center-left anti-neoliberal politicians in Argentina still
Dude,
today.
I can talk about
Why
the fact that
why can't
I
they
can
be angry
I,
about that exactly? Like
I mean, if they want to be
when
angry about that, that's a
like
really weird to me.
you said to
That's
me, I
really
believe
weird
that
to me.
it was wrong for me to say that this idea that you're spreading is imperialism. Apparently, how is that wrong for me to say that?
How is that imperialism for me to just simply state a historical fact
Well,
that
for
there
one,
were okay,
for one, this idea of there being a special Nazi haven in Argentina comes from before the war ended. It comes directly from the US government. They literally released a book all around the world warning of the threat of the Fourth Reich in Argentina called the Blue Book.
right,
Then from
right.
that spawned the musical Evita, which basically just spread that idea even more. And that's how Americans got this whole History Channel-esque idea of
I
Argentina
mean, most
being this
Americans
singular
have
Nazi haven.
most
And
Americans
this
have
is an
no idea
idea.
about any of this. Most Americans, as you can see
If you
from
ask
the
any American, what do you know about Argentina? There's like a 50-50 chance they'll tell you nothing or Nazis.
they'll tell
That's all they
you
know.
they'll tell you Messi, baby, and the Argentinian World Cup soccer
This
team. What are
is
you talking
this
about,
is the
man?
sort of thing that it's weaponized. It's very easy to weaponize too. You think this idea is not weaponized? You think people don't say to like anyone who calls himself
I'll
a
tell you,
Peronist, "Oh, you're a Nazi."
the most I've heard about Argentina, quite frankly, has been from other South Americans who have had bad experiences with Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly the most I hear about Argentina. United States of America doesn't know Argentina outside again of their World Cup soccer team. Trust me, no one here talks about Evita
Mm.
or any of that.
There's certainly more than enough cultural osmosis for Americans to know about this Nazi Argentina stereotype, which is probably why all of your followers, just with their taken for granted ideas that they receive from this cultural osmosis, got very angry at me, refuting that idea.
But dude, are you claiming that you can't talk about the fact that there were indeed Nazis that escaped
Okay.
to Argentina? Is that what you're claiming?
Let me
You
give you
can't.
a very apt analogy here. Let's
Okay,
imagine an African American politician in the USA is corrupt.
sure.
Do you think it, and someone's like, Africans can't be corrupt? That doesn't make any sense. And you decide to respond to that by posting like the Freedom Institute's graph of corruption with African countries at the top. Do you think that would be like a thing to do that makes any sense at all and that isn't just reinforcing damaging stereotypes about other countries?
But that's not what happened at all. Let's pose this another way. Do you talk about Ukraine at all?
Yeah.
You do. And what do you think about what's going on with the Ukraine
Wow,
with Ukraine?
literally a complete 100% topic change.
Well, no, because
Holy
I'm
shit.
asking. No, it's not, because it's the same thing you just did. You just brought up African American president of the
No,
United
I'm
States.
making
What are you
I'm
talking
making
about?
an analogy.
And I'm making an analogy.
to what you
I'm
did.
making an analogy
right?
to. I'm making an
What
analogy as
you
well.
did-
You talk
What
about
did
you
is
talk about
take-
Ukraine,
is
right?
take- what you did
talk-
is take someone who is a Latin American, completely irrelevant European or Africa or anything here. What you did is take someone who is a Latin American descended person in the US who did something awful, and to explain
No, you
that
keep
the
going
fact
back
that
to that.
a Latin
You keep
American
going back to
person
that.
can have his ideology, you point to people in South America.
I
I'm wondering how
pointed
this would be different to that
pointed
scenario that
to-
I just outlined.
No, because that's not what it was, man. The individual is completely like, maybe I don't know, maybe because you're from Australia, right? Maybe
Africans
because
can be corrupt, right? It's okay
You're-
for me to refer to the
What are you
corrupt
ta-
Africa
what-
stereotype.
What are you talking about, man? No, the difference. No, the equivalent would be if there was some sort of African mass shooter here who was driven by white supremacy or neo-Nazi ideology, and then me pointing to, oh, there is a history in Africa of this. Just look at South Africa. It's the same fucking thing. That's the analogy,
Well,
man.
actually, the sensical analogy, if you want it to be like that, would be an African American neo-Nazi doing a mass shooting and then being like, this is somehow due to like this fringe neo-Nazi group in South Africa or something, which would make no sense because it's a fucking African American in the USA who's probably never even been to Africa in his life.
All right, but we are talking about a secondary thing here. And let me get back to my analogy, because you keep going back to the shooter, and that's not what this discussion turned into. Yes, that was the catalyst for this whole conversation that came here in the United States. But the main topic of conversation, by the time I got to it with that reference to that article, was strictly, can Latinos and Hispanics be white supremacists or neo-Nazis? But anyway, so you talk about Ukraine, right? And you talk about
we're not talking about Ukraine.
But you talk about Ukrainian, but we weren't talking about African American presidents.
You think I
either.
don't know how this works? It's like, buddy, you love Putin. I know exactly how this works.
No, I don't think you love Putin. I don't think you love Putin. But you talk about Ukrainian. You talk about Ukrainian neo-Nazis, right? You talk about Ukrainian neo-Nazis, right? I talk about them too, right? They exist, right?
I absolutely would not just randomly refer to like Ukrainian neo-Nazis in a context that's completely removed from them for no reason whatsoever. No.
If someone of Eastern European background committed a mass shooting here, and they had some sort of background that brought you back there, you would bring up. And in America, liberals started to say, oh, they can't be neo-Nazis. Ukraine is all about no neo-Nazis there. That's Russian imperialist propaganda. You would, no doubt about it. And so would I say that's bullshit. You could see that there's a history of Ukrainian Nazis.
There's a bit of an issue here, right? We're talking about Ukrainians and then we're talking about Ukraine. In this other case, we're talking about a Mexican, and then we're talking about South America,
No, because
and
there was
we're
a
also
whole
talking about 80 years
conversation.
ago.
There was a whole conversation about Latinos and Hispanics all together. That was a
Well, that's an
conversation here, dude.
American idea, which makes
Yeah,
is
and that's
completely
what I was,
nonsensical.
and that's what I'm talking about, man. Maybe that's where there's some sort of misunderstanding or language barrier.
No,
I
I
don't
think the
know.
misunderstanding, there's no misunderstanding. Like you were referring to a stereotype that is used constantly to
It's not
legitimize
a
imperialism
stereotype,
against
man.
Argentina. It
And when
absolutely
you,
is a
it's not a
stereotype.
stereotype. It's a
You're telling
historical fact, dude. It
it's not okay.
happened.
You're okay. It's a historical fact then when all your followers respond to me being like, all Argentines have German surnames. Like, why is your father a Nazi? Things like that. It's not a stereotype. 200 Nazi war criminals in Argentina. That is not a stereotype. It's actually true. Like, you're not going to convince me that these people know anything about what they're
I never,
talking about. That
I
they're
never
basing
threw
any of
down
this on
a,
historical facts.
I never threw down any number or
It's
anything. I
obviously a
literally,
stereotype. Like, I have fucking academic articles right here, fucking ready to go, fucking fully
all right.
torqued. They've got fucking massive hard-ons here, ready to go, about this stereotype,
Go.
specifically
I
in
mean,
the
if
US and how it came to be.
so,
It's
maybe you
clearly
should
a
have
real
found
thing that
someone.
exists, or there wouldn't be articles about it.
Okay, and the fact that Nazis went to Germany also is, I mean, Nazis from Germany went to Argentina and other South American countries obviously happened too. Otherwise, there wouldn't be articles about it. I mean, what are you talking
We're
about?
not specifically talking about did Nazis go to Argentina or did they go anywhere else. We're talking about a specific stereotype, the one that your History Channel article specifically references,
I didn't even link to
which
any
is
fucking article, man. I didn't link to any
you
article. I used a fucking
posted a screenshot of an
screenshot.
article.
Yeah, because the whole point was just to point out that, yeah, there's a history of Nazis and white supremacy in South America and Latin America. You
The
wanted
history
to,
of
you were
Nazis and white
you were
supremacy in the
foaming at
US.
the mouth for some content that you saw somebody post that
I am
and
not
read a
foaming at the mouth
hundred
of
and
content
read
at
a
all.
hundred things into it. What are you talking about? You're the one sitting there prepared apparently dozens of academic articles, and I just threw up the stream right now. I
Yeah,
just threw
right.
up the
Because
stream right now.
if you don't I don't know why you are like bragging about not knowing what you're talking about. That's not a good thing.
I never said
But
I don't know what I'm talking about. I said I didn't need to prepare
haven't
for
prepared
this.
anything. This is like kind of a thing that people do when they're not
You
like
just have
Sam
academic
Cedar
articles
acolytes.
ready to go
They know things.
24/7.
Yeah, yeah.
You just have academic
I've researched
articles
these
ready to
things
go
before.
24/7. All right, that's
I've,
cool. Good. Let's bring them up then.
I read
Bring them out.
things.
Bring them out. I read
Okay.
things too, man. I read things too.
So you're trying to tell me it's not a stereotype, like this idea of like Nazi Argentina, this is not a stereotype in the American psyche, it's not a thing. Is that like a correct assessment of what you're telling me?
Well, there's a history of, of obviously American propaganda for all sorts of different countries, and for Argentina, one of them is the United States of America pushed that it was a Nazi haven, sure, because there is some truth into propaganda at times, absolutely.
So they pushed it because there's some truth in the propaganda, right? There's also some
there's
truth
always
in
truth.
the fact
There's
that
always truth in
African governments
propaganda.
tend to be corrupt.
Oh,
Would it be
without a
okay for
doubt,
me to
they are
just reference
corrupt.
that randomly for no reason?
They're, of course
in
you
a
can.
very clearly problematic context that legitimizes imperialism.
No, but how does it legitimize imperialism to bring up historical fact? I don't understand. I don't understand how
does it legitimize imperialism? How does it legitimize imperialism for me to say, okay, so Peron invited like 200 Nazis into Argentina.
Just 200?
Peron was a Nazi. Yes, 200. Ergo, Peron was a Nazi.
Oh,
Ergo,
he had
people who call themselves Peronists are also Nazis. Ergo, the primary center-left force in Argentina are Nazis, and we should all hate them. That's how this logic works. It's how it's employed. It's very common. You've never heard of this before?
No, of course I have. But the idea, what makes you think that the guy who helped bring in Nazis from Germany after World War II didn't have Nazi sympathies and feel for these people?
Do you think that like the people in, let's say, hypothetically, because Perón was a very FDR-like leader. Obviously, FDR died before the war was over, but what happened in the US would have happened if he was still the president afterwards.
Sure.
Let's say, hypothetically, FDR had survived the war. He was the one who happened to be in power when the US invited all the Nazis. Did that make him a Nazi?
Yeah, I would say if he brought in Nazis, it would have been really bad for him. Yeah, I think we could have easily said
Ideologically,
he was
I
a
mean,
white.
there's a difference between it being bad and it being like ideologically Nazi.
Oh yeah,
Because
without
the
a
thing
doubt.
is, when we're talking about like a politician and their ideology, especially a politician like FDR or Juan Domingo Perón, people who are in power for quite a long time. I think FDR was like 12 years, Perón like 9 years, at least the first term. You can look at what they actually did. You don't specifically need to infer things from, you know, like their sympathies or whatever. So you can look at what they actually did and judge off their policies, their politics as implemented in practice, given the fact they were actually in, heads of state. You can look at that and you can judge whether they're Nazi or not. So given, Peron was very much in his economic policy, pretty much like FDR, social policy like any other, you know, white guy in power
Dude,
at the time,
Perón was
just like
not.
FDR.
You're trying to push forward that Perón was some sort of progressive hero. Is that really what you're trying to do?
Okay, can you explain like with some sort of reference to something that he actually did? Like, what do you mean by progressive hero? Was FDR a progressive hero?
Well, I would say for some people he is, and some people he isn't. I mean, he did.
Economically,
He
sure,
was.
compared
Yeah,
to what
man.
there was before.
Sure.
So, how is
Sure.
it
He
wrong?
also
Is
he
Peron
also
was not
he
economically progressive compared to what there was before?
well, sure, yeah, but just because you're economically progressive doesn't mean you're just
Exactly.
a
FDR was
progressive
also
period,
a
right?
racist.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. That's right. That's right.
so,
So
like, do you
what? What
think?
are you trying to say? See, I
I'm
don't. I
trying to
think
say.
like I think you think I'm somebody else. That's the problem here because I got no problem
I
saying that
think
FDR
that
was
you.
without a doubt a racist. FDR was without a doubt
Uh-huh.
very had.
Yes, the
Go
point is
ahead.
that I'm not trying to delegitimize FDR here. I'm not trying to attack FDR. I'm drawing a comparison between
Sure.
him and Juan Domingo Perón, who are very similar in terms of what they actually did.
Okay. All right. So, are you trying to say? What are
So,
you trying to say out of that? You're
what
not
I'm
being
trying to say is that
sure.
this guy, due to his sort of anti-American, anti-imperialist stance and the fact that he was the first politician to ever draw his base from the working class and take some sort of action against the landowning Spanish oligarchy, the fact that he also, after that, took in a few hundred Nazi war criminals, most of whom he had no knowledge of. Most of
Oh,
what he
there were a
took was,
lot
for
more than a
example,
few
similar to paper.
hundred.
In terms of war criminals, there's 180.
That was based on a what was like an Argentinian council in
It
the
was
late '90s,
based
right?
on it was based on a 2003 was the last revised report. 2003, essentially a convention of historians from Germany, Argentina, the US, pretty much everywhere, who made a list of 180 confirmed Nazi war criminals who entered Argentina in various capacities. Most of them were actually Croatian, not German.
Sure. Okay.
So,
The Nazis, nonetheless, though. I don't really care
and then
whether
there
they're
were,
from Germany or not.
yes, and then there were also scientists, whatever.
Right. Just like the U.S. Right.
Like this was a transatlantic, transnational network. Pretty much every single country that had aspirations to like be something after the war did this,
Oh,
including the
I get it.
Soviet Union.
You're separate. You're saying specifically 100. What did you say? 158 war criminals. So the other thousands of Nazis that came
180.
in, 180 war criminals. The other
Well, there were
Nazis
about
that
about
came in are not.
20,000 Germans post-war who settled in Argentina, and about 80,000 more who passed through the country to a different final destination.
Okay.
Compared to the US, that is quite
I
a
saw
minor
that
amount.
I saw that an Argentinian researcher recently, I think like in the past like 3 years, 3 years ago I think it was, came discovered a list of 12,000 Nazis.
I'm so happy that
I
you
know. I'm
mentioned
glad
that. So
you. I
that's a
knew you. I
pre-war
know.
list. That's a pre-war list from the
Sure.
1930s. The reason that we have that list was actually seized by the government when they raided a Nazi Party of Germany. What do you call
Cool.
them in English?
So
Like
so let me just get this. Let me just get. Okay. So continue. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish what you're saying. I don't want to interrupt.
so that list is of Nazi Party of Germany members from the pre-war German migrant community in Argentina. Right?
Okay.
It's not Nazis from Germany who escaped. And the reason that we have that list is because the government at the time raided their offices and seized it.
Okay. So, but so you're saying to me that there weren't that many Nazis in Germany because the
In
Nazis that
Germany?
excuse me, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Thank you for pointing it out. That there weren't that many Nazis in Argentina because they got there before the war ended.
What I'm
Okay.
saying is that's irrelevant to what we're talking about, which is post-war Nazi
No, no. What we're
escapees,
talking
right?
about
What you're
is no.
talking
We're
about,
talking about
what you're
Nazis.
talking about
We're
is the
talking
pre-war
about
German
Nazis.
migrant community.
We're talking about
You're talking
Nazis.
about something completely different. You want to talk about like pre-war Nazi German migrant communities. Every single country had those. The U.S. had the biggest. The U.S. had
Right.
a rally of
Right.
30,000 Nazis
Yeah, I
in
know. We had
Madison
riots in
Square
Madison
Garden
Square
in
Garden. I'm in New York City,
1939.
baby. I know all about it. I don't
So
deny
what
it.
you're
I don't deny
so
it. I don't deny
Argentina
it.
is a Nazi haven because
No, I didn't
the
say
Nazis
nobody.
agitated among German immigrants in the 1930s. That's a very different claim to what we were talking about before, which
Dude,
was post-war
they held Nazi
Nazi
rallies in Argentina.
Nazis
They
fleeing to
held
Argentina
just
clandestinely.
like here in the U.S. They held
Do you
Nazi
know? Do you
rallies in
know who?
Argentina.
Yeah, there was a Nazi rally in Argentina held at the Jockey Club as well. That is the equivalent of Madison Square Garden in Buenos Aires. Do you know who supported that? Do you know
Go
who
ahead, tell
attended
me.
that?
Sure, go
The
ahead,
same
tell me.
oligarchs who the US then supported
Dude,
and who then
I
they then
yeah.
supported and smeared Peron with the Nazi label. Isn't that great?
Okay. Okay, sure. Why do you keep acting like I'm going to defend the United States? That's just terrible,
Because
dude.
the entire reason that
Why
I
don't
want
you
to have
also
this conversation
but why
is
can't you just say like why like that the whole conversation's really weird to me because and this was the same thing I was experiencing with Argentinian people too. Like sending me like video like images of like 9/11 and all sorts of American neo-Nazis and stuff. Hell yeah,
9/11 was
man.
really good.
The United States is horrible, dude. They are the number one
Hmm.
importer exporter of white supremacy and neo-Nazism. I'm just saying it's super
It's
weird to me.
because
It's
it's
super weird to me that when I just simply point out historical fact that Nazis were indeed all over the world, including South
well,
America, the
that's the
only
thing.
people.
The reason why people
See,
get
that's where I
angry at
get
that
weird.
is
That's why I
because
get
there's a
weird about it. That's
specific stereotype.
uh,
You know, people.
no. If
There's
there's
no
plenty of
specific stereotype about like the couple thousand Nazis who went to Australia. There's no specific stereotype about the hundreds of Nazis who went to New Zealand. There's no specific stereotype about the thousands upon thousands of Nazi collaborators in
dude.
France. The stereotype
All
is
those
Argentina.
are those all
So
those articles.
that's
All the
why when people
articles
see you posting that, they get angry.
all the articles you can find online all say South America, South America. Even the various different Jewish
That's
groups that I've
precisely
read
the
that have
point.
all from
That's
South
precisely the point.
because
There
they're
is this
specifically talking
specific
about.
focus.
No, it's not a focus. Yeah, there's a focus on South American Nazis when they're talking about South America. That's it, buddy.
You weren't talking about South America though.
We were
And
talking
also,
about Latino and Hispanic.
I'm trying to explain to you why those people got angry at you.
I don't.
Because
I mean,
there is this
to me, I've
massive
learned.
stereotype
Go
that
ahead.
isn't that of Argentina being like a singular special Nazi haven. And you're not going to tell me that you've never heard of this before. There's no fucking way. Have you ever watched the History Channel? It's impossible. They run reruns of that shit every fucking day.
I
Like,
actually
it's
don't
a
watch the
specific
History Channel.
stereotype. We had a terrible childhood. But there is a specific stereotype emanating from the USA, which originates in the the wartime US with the ambassador to Argentina creating this idea of like Argentina planning to harbor the Fourth Reich and create like the resurgent Nazi empire post-war. And from that, this stereotype, which eventually led to stuff like the Evita musical and stuff like that, spread throughout the consciousness of Americans, and it created this idea of Argentina as this singular sort of Nazi haven. So when I and many others saw you posting that, right, that's what we think of.
Okay. All right. I mean,
So that's why Argentines get angry at you, because for one, it is true, obviously, that there were Nazis in Argentina. It's true that there were Nazis in many countries, but it's specifically because it's literally a fucking History Channel article. Come on, it's referring to the stereotype using
it's
like
not a fucking
insane,
stereotype if it happened,
insane.
man. I mean, this is so
No, no,
ridiculous. This
there
is
were
so
not. There were not.
ridiculous.
Hitler did not come to Argentina in a
No, I
fucking
never said
U-boat.
Hitler. See, you're now trying to put words in my
Exactly.
mouth.
That's the
Hitler never.
stereotype, though. The
It's not.
stereotype is
Everyone
like
knows that's
it takes a
ridiculous.
grain of truth and exaggerates it to an absurd degree in order to deflect.
No. But you are using the absurdity of Hitler escaping Germany right now. But that's not what you brought up before.
I
Before
brought that
you
up.
said.
I
Before
brought that
you.
up as an example of how the stereotype operates. Like the reason why this idea of Hitler escaping to Argentina, right, rather than, for example, Hitler escaping to the US, which at least numerically, like by percentage, would make more sense. The reason why there's that idea of like Hitler escaping to Argentina and all of that is because of that stereotype created
All right,
and
but
spread by the Americans.
you were now trying to conflate a wild conspiracy theory with actual true facts.
I'm not conflating
Nazis-
anything. I'm using that
Nazis
as an
went to-
example.
Okay, I don't
of
listen, dude.
This stereotype existing, basically.
But if it's a historical fact that Nazis did indeed escape Germany, and even before that left Germany or wherever they were, Croatia, wherever you said most of them came from, Nazis in Europe came over to South America, and and we are talking in the context of this discourse that was going on of whether Latino and Hispanic people can be Nazis and white supremacists, then I think it's very relevant to bring up just a basic historical fact that, I mean, yeah, there's a history of Nazis and white supremacy in Argentina, in Chile, in Brazil, in Uruguay, in Paraguay, in you name it. It's all over the place. And that's all that this was. And if a bunch of Argentinian people got upset about it, either they misunderstood me, which that sucks, or I saw a lot of right-wing Argentinian people also going at me. They're trying to deny their history.
They wouldn't
which to
go
me
at
is a
you.
problem.
They love that. They love that. They love that. They say that Perón did it. Every 2 weeks they print a new article about that. They absolutely love it.
Well, there was a few people who were denying it who definitely were right-wingers, sharing all sorts of far right-wing memes, and they were telling me that that never happened. Again, this is a very small internet portion of the community. But I mean, in the same sense, I heard from people from Mexico, people from Chile, people from Bolivia, people from Peru, all bring to me their experience and them saying, yeah, there's white supremacy and neo-Nazis here, 100%. And then also bring up how weird they thought it was that the only people who had a problem with it was Argentinians, who they say they experience racism from all the time in their home countries.
So you think it's weird that Argentines have a problem with you spreading this?
No, I think
it's
it's a
historical
combination.
stereotype of Argentina as like
I
this
think-
special Nazi haven. That's
I
what people are angry about. It's not this idea that Nazis went to Argentina at all. Obviously, they did. It's this idea that Argentina is this special Nazi haven.
But I never called it a special Nazi haven. I posted literally a headline that said South America was a Nazi haven.
Okay.
Wasn't even a special Nazi haven. Wasn't even the Nazi
It's a
haven.
History Channel article.
Yeah, and you just said it was
probably
great.
didn't
You
read
loved
the
watching.
article,
You
but-
said you loved watching History Channel. That's why I didn't share the article, dude. I just posted
when I
the
was
screenshot of the.
11 years old, I thought
Well,
it
you
was
just
fucking
said how
awesome.
great
I
it was.
love
I'm the one who
ancient
told
aliens.
you. I'm the one who told you I didn't watch it at all, and I don't know what to tell you, man. You told me how great it was just now. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. This is sort of like a silly conversation because I agree with you with everything you're going to say about America, and how
It's not. I'm not complaining about America. I'm not saying America is bad here. I'm not just saying that. I'm saying that you could make that point, for one, in a way that makes a lot more sense, and for two, without referring to a myth that is constantly used to legitimize imperialism against Argentina.
How do you bring up
I think
neo-Nazi?
challenging
How
it
do
is
you
better.
bring up Nazis in South America without you claiming it's going to be some sort of imperialism? I mean,
Why
how do you,
bring up Nazis in South America?
I
in that
just
context at
told
all?
you, dude, because the context was talking about they were bringing up how there is a rise in white supremacy and Nazism within Latino and Hispanic communities, and people were denying that could be possible. So I simply
Right.
showed some historical context in terms of how South American countries, all the way back in the 1940s and before that even, but let's stick with post World War II, were welcoming Nazis from Germany and elsewhere in Europe to come to their countries and find a safe haven, just like it was also happening elsewhere.
Okay, so Mexico is in North America.
Right, but we
But
were.
apart from that, the
Are you saying?
explanation
Are you
for
saying?
the
Are you going to argue that
explanation
Mexican people wouldn't consider them part of the broader Latino or
you
Hispanic
said
community?
South America. I don't think most people consider themselves part of a Latino or Hispanic community in Latin America, no. But
Okay.
apart from that, if you want to explain Latino neo-Nazis, specifically brown-skinned Latino
I mean,
neo-Nazis in
half
the
half my
US,
family, half my
there are
family.
much better ways to do that. For example, you can refer to the fact that the reason why these people exist now is
All right,
because they're all
now you're
radicalized on the internet,
hold on,
where
now,
no one
but this
sees
is,
them and they don't
but
see each other.
but now you're like tone policing. Now you're going, oh no, you didn't say
I
things exactly
I
how I wanted you to
absolutely
say it.
am tone
Yeah,
policing you
that's
because you're
so
spreading a
weird.
damaging myth used to legitimize imperialism. You literally
Okay,
in
so
this country, like,
do you talk about do you talk
if you
about
talk in
do you
English about voting for like some fucking center left Biden esque like fucking lesser evil
I don't tell
Peronist
anybody to vote
candidate,
for I don't tell anybody to vote for anybody. You must be
it's just
confusing
an
me with someone
example.
else.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm not
so
accusing you of anything.
here's an
Here
example.
in this, I'm trying to give you an example of how this narrative is used to legitimize essentially imperialism against Argentina. You mentioned like, you vote for like the lesser evil in Argentina, which is pretty much always the Peronist, and you get called a Nazi by Americans. And
I've
the
never. That
reason
must be
why that
really
happens is because of this
specific, because most
stereotype.
Americans have no idea, dude. I mean, you could say the same about people who vote for Democrats when there's a history of the KKK and literal former Ku Klux Klan Grand Wizards being Democrats or whatever. I mean, you could say the same thing here.
The only person who does that is fucking Dinesh D'Souza, because obviously there was no like
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, buddy.
Democrat Republican
That's what I'm
shift
getting at. I'm
in
talking about how
Argentina.
if you can't just like come to the historical fact that yeah, we could say that there were
We're not
Nazis
talking
in
about
South
base
America or
historical facts here.
Argentina. But we are though, because that's what you have a problem with. You're saying I shouldn't bring it up because
Problem isn't with
it's
the historical
imperialism.
facts. It's one thing to talk about this, honestly or whatever within the context. It's another to just randomly bring up this myth to get a simple little gotcha on some right-wing account on Twitter.
No,
Like
but
the
I think
entire reason why people get pissed off at you is because they're sick of seeing
well, the
this
only people
this
the
sort of stereotype being used against them.
The only people who got pissed at me were a bunch of Argentinians, and that's a huge tell
Yeah,
to me. When I
why
hear the
wouldn't they get
rest,
pissed at you?
when I hear the rest
It's
of,
a huge tell to you.
I
Why
mean,
wouldn't they get pissed at you?
why didn't
Is,
any
is,
other
is it
people?
a huge tell?
Why didn't any of the other people in South American countries? Because again, the article said South America. Why did no one
Because
else get angry
there's
about it?
not any sort of cultural stereotype that this is what they are.
In Brazil, there's no
like
cultural. There's no cultural stereotype about Brazil.
there is absolutely no stereotype among Americans, among foreigners, that Brazil is a special Nazi haven. You're not going to tell me where's the musical about Brazil? Where's
Oh
the
my god, you're so
where's the
obsessed
U.S.
with this
State
musical,
Department?
dude. You're obsessed
Where's
with the
the
musical,
US State?
man.
Yeah, it's an incredibly fucking well-known musical that had a massive cultural effect. It's basically, if Americans know about
Dude,
Argentina,
the
half the
fact
time it's
that
because of the fucking musical.
the fact that
Half
a
the time it's from
major
the New York Times articles about it.
the
Like
fact
you're
that
essentially trying to discount something that is so well known that there's like an entire academic literature about it, like American
dude,
cultural perceptions of Argentina.
the fact that there is such a major discourse going on in this country about how people of Hispanic or Latino origin could not be white supremacists or Nazis should tell you that in fact that there's not such, at least in modern day American culture, not such a big stereotype. When did that Evita musical come out? No one even talks about
Talking
it
about
anymore.
Argentina here, not about
But
American culture and American Nazis.
you are talking about Argentina again. I
Oh yeah,
never said
X-Men Origins. That's
Argentina.
another great one. X-Men Origins. Like I believe the opening scene of that movie is like a mutant Nazi hunter in Argentina in Villa Gesell, which is a beach resort town, but for some reason it's in the Andes.
Well, yeah,
So
because well,
it is a very
I've
well-known
not,
cultural stereotype about
I've not.
Argentina in the US, and
Well,
it's very damaging. It's employed fairly often by the American media
dude,
to like drum up
Nazi.
hatred of
But that's
the Argentine
also,
center left.
but that's also another well historical fact that there were indeed Nazi hunters specifically in countries like Brazil and Argentina, because that's where Nazis were. I mean,
You seem to like just be arguing that the stereotype is correct. Is that like true? Is that what you're
stereotypes.
trying to say here? Because when I mention the stereotype, you keep repeating, but it's true, but it's true, but it's true. But the problem isn't that people
You're
are just
trying to
saying,
call
oh yeah, Nazis.
historical. You're trying to call
The
historical
problem,
fact a stereotype, dude. It's one thing to
okay,
say. It's one thing to say the United States of America weaponized these facts and used it as propaganda
they
to
didn't
assert
weaponize.
that
They
something
didn't
more
simply
was going
weaponize
on.
facts. Like it's one thing to say Nazis went to Argentina, Nazis went to Brazil, Nazis went to the
That's
USA.
all I said. Exactly.
It's
Right.
another thing to say Nazis went to Argentina. Not all the Nazis went to Argentina. The Nazis tried to make the Fourth Reich in Argentina. Argentina is this special secret,
Now,
super special Nazi haven.
who in this conversation
is
said
the
that? Because it wasn't me. Who
The
in this
entire
conversation
issue
said that?
I had with your tweet was that you were essentially spreading this myth of South America as this singular Nazi haven, specifically Argentina as this singular special Nazi haven, whether you meant to or not. And that stereotype, that myth is the thing that's not true. We're not simply arguing that no Nazis came to Argentina. We're talking about this specific myth of Argentina as the Nazi haven.
I never said
damaging.
that. I never
that
said
is
that.
the thing
though.
that people get angry at. That is why
Well, then
you
that's
people
on
screaming
then
at
that's
you in Spanish.
then that's on them then, man. That's on them because they need to learn reading comprehension and see what I read.
I guess they just need to learn to have supposed leftists just spreading imperialist ideas about that country.
Oh,
to
those people had no idea who I was. Please, I mean the idea that again, let's bring up the fact that we all talk about Ukrainian neo-Nazis, right? Because they exist. It's a fact they exist. Yet for some reason, you don't also think that being that there is a country literally right now doing imperialism on them and using the propaganda that there are Nazis in Ukraine as their reason for doing imperialism, you won't though say, oh, we should back off on bringing up Ukrainian neo-Nazis because Russia's weaponizing that fact to propagandize and use it to legitimize what they're doing to innocent people in Ukraine. You don't do that though, right? You would never do that. I wouldn't do that either because I don't think that. Really, you've done that before. Then you've done that before. So you don't talk about Ukrainian neo-Nazis.
I don't think that there being neo-Nazis in Ukraine means that the country should be invaded. Yes.
Oh, good. Exactly. You shouldn't think
it's
that.
also not an equivalent scenario because what is the context of bringing this up exactly? It's just like a random American bringing up a decades-old stereotype.
Here's the funny thing, dude. You're talking to probably the only leftist streamer that has a show dedicated to talking about white supremacy, neo-Nazis, online far-right reactionaries. I know you don't know who I am. I'm a nobody.
Sounds like Bellingcat.
What?
Sounds like Bellingcat.
Okay, well, I'm not Bellingcat. Bellingcat is not a left. They wouldn't consider themselves to be a leftist news organization. That's very clever, though, because I know that there's a well-intentioned bad rap on Bellingcat because they do some sketchy stuff. But to tie me to them for your audience is very clever. I enjoy that. Nice move there. But I've been covering neo-Nazis, white supremacists since I started a show. Back in 2018, it was my beat when I started working on the Majority Report back in 2011 and co-hosted a show with Michael Brooks. So you're probably talking to the American leftist who focuses on white supremacists and neo-Nazis in the United States of America more than any other leftist does. And the idea that you don't think it's relevant, that you constantly bring up. See, for me, I just want to talk about fucking the fact that neo-Nazis are all over the fucking world. That's it. I want to talk about the fact that you should not be hiding the fact, denying the fact that neo-Nazis exist in your country, that country, this country, because they exist and everyone needs to come to terms with it if they want to defeat it. If you're an anti-fascist, you need to talk about it. So when I'm bringing up Ukraine, my point is, you say when I bring up the fact that Nazis fled to South America, and again, I'm not even talking about Argentina specifically. You keep doing that, but if you want me to say that, fine. When I bring up Nazis in Argentina, you say doing so is giving into American imperialism because they've used it before for their propaganda. I'm saying, why isn't it the same thing? Why isn't the same thing? So maybe perhaps you are inadvertently doing that
if
you're to Ukraine.
If you're inadvertently spreading like imperialist propaganda from the fucking 1940s against the country that is still weaponized against that country to this very day, then yeah, I think you should
Dude,
maybe
no one,
learn to
no
take
one, no, but no
being called
one's.
out on that a little bit better.
There is no one is talking about Nazis in Argentina anymore. In fact, it's quite clear of that based on the
You pretty much
reaction.
brought it up.
Yeah, me. Am
Everyone
I the
knows what
United
the
States of
History
America,
Channel
dude?
article was
Little
about.
me, little me, man, little me. Who you don't that you just put what was it you put in your headline there? Discount Sam Cedar. Apparently, I
Mhm.
speak for all of America when I in 2023 am the one American who brings up Nazism in South America, because that's not a
No, you're
current
not. That's the
discussion here.
problem.
No,
That's the problem.
if that
You're
was
not
the
the only
case,
one.
then why is there literally tons and tons of people? Like, the literal discourse in this country right now is Latinos and Hispanic people cannot be white supremacists and Nazis. That's the basis of this whole conversation, dude. And you're
So
claiming that's not true. The whole reason I even posted that article, that screenshot of that article, you're claiming is not true because everyone in America believes that Nazis and white supremacists are all over Argentina. You make
okay,
zero sense, man.
I think I make perfect sense. So there's two separate things here. One is, can Latinos, Hispanics, however you use that term in the US, can they be white supremacists? Yes, they
Yes,
can. Another
absolutely.
thing is the way you made that point. By referring to a damaging stereotype that legitimizes imperialism in my country.
And what is that
That is the
damaging
thing that I was
stereotype?
angry about.
What is that damaging
It's this
stereotype?
idea that Argentina is a specific Nazi haven, and specifically that the Peronist ideology, which isn't really an ideology,
Can
but
you show
people
me when
call themselves that
can you show me
nonetheless.
when I said that? Can you show me what I said any of that?
You don't have to say it to legitimize it. It can be
Oh, that's
accidental. It
such
can be
bullshit,
inadvertent.
man. That's such bullshit, man. I mean,
How not?
listen. If you want to have a regular, like, if you wanted to have like a legitimate conversation about that, you would have reached out to me. But instead, you wanted to, pound on your chest and do this whole bravado thing in public because it really,
I'm not pounding on
because
my chest of doing bravado at all.
I mean,
I'm just sitting
what are you
here
talking about? On
kind of in
Twitter,
awe.
dude. On Twitter, dude, you were having this whole big thing about how I
Yeah,
was specifically
I was
talking about
actually
Argentina when I
correcting the
wasn't.
historical facts with lots of your followers who seem to believe that myth was true.
And
They seem to believe that like they
you're
got really offended when I pointed out that the U.S. government itself estimated that there were 10,000 Nazi war criminals in the U.S. They got really mad at that.
oh, well, I don't know anyone who did that. I mean, I can't speak for all people who would get, but I certainly know
Well,
that there are
my problem
10,000,
isn't with
at
you
least
specifically. My
at
problem
least
is with this
10,000.
myth is with this stereotype in general. My
Cool, but
problem is that
I didn't spread that myth.
I
I
don't
didn't
want
spread
people
that
to
myth.
inadvertently or whatever spread this idea. I would prefer that people base these ideas, in facts, bring them up when it's actually relevant, rather than to explain Latino neo-Nazi mass shooter in the U.S. You
So wait,
being an expert on white supremacists in the U.S., I would hope that you could explain how this guy came to be without making a reference to South America, because I think it's pretty irrelevant.
But it wasn't specifically about this guy, man. Even in the tweet I'm responding to in that screenshot, it was specifically about the rise of white supremacy within the Latino and Hispanic communities. That's simple. That's simple, dude. So people come from South America, Mexico, Central America, all over to the United States, right? That's where they immigrate from, and they come to this country. Right, so it's not like it's not a thing that's there. Certainly, they're learning a lot of it here, without a doubt. This kid specifically, who did this guy, this fucking mass shooter, this white supremacist neo-Nazi shooter, he, without a doubt, based on his specific background, got this shit in the U.S. He did post a lot of photos on his social media channels, though, of Mexican white nationalists in Mexico, like literal white neo-Nazi rallies in the streets of Mexico. But again, the specific article I was replying to was someone mocking the idea of the headline of the article being that the growing white supremacy in Hispanic and Latino communities. And I quickly looked for an article, saw a headline that did not specifically did not specify any country, because to me, it's not a specific country's problem. Again, I told you the first country I think of in modern day would be Brazil. And so I posted a screenshot of that headline. I mean, and anything else is you reading into it. And if you
It's
have a
not
problem
me
with
reading into it, because our actions, are influenced by broader cultural trends, by broader cultural osmosis. We're not just like we don't just have these specific intentions that we're all using, and you can also do things by accident. You can spread damaging ideas by accident without meaning to do so, because there are these trends that I'm sure you're well aware of Americans projecting, deflecting onto other countries. For example, religious fanaticism in the US, they say, oh, are we the Taliban now? Stuff like that. Neo-Nazi mass shooter, oh, are we like Argentina now? Stuff like that. So when I see someone like referencing South America or Argentina or whatever and related to like a neo-Nazi mass shooting in the US, you know, what I see in that as someone who is very familiar with these sorts of stereotypes, with these sorts of deflections, is that. And you might not have intended it, but that's how it comes off.
Okay, I mean, if that's how it came off to you, then I mean that's a
It
problem, I
came off
guess.
like that to me and lots of other people. Like I know you mentioned the right-wing Argentines, but I'm sure they weren't all right-wing.
No,
I'm
they
sure there
were.
were
They
plenty
were
of people
not.
in
They
there
were
who were
not.
just fucking
No,
sick, who were just fucking
absolutely
sick
not.
of these Americans, like
But I mean, this is
pointing
listen.
specifically to them all the time.
This conversation you're having now with me, though, is way different than the conversation you had on Twitter with me, and the conversation you had just even 10 minutes ago and before that, the rest of the live stream, where you were just trying to claim that just bring up the fact was some sort of propaganda imperialism for the United States.
It's not
That
just bringing up the fact, though. It's referring to the stereotype of Argentina as like the special Nazi haven. I know it said South America, but when people think Nazis in South America, we all know what they're thinking. When Americans think it, especially, we all know what they're thinking. I know why they think that. I think I've explained well enough why they think that.
then I think
Like, I mean, if you want to just say that you didn't mean it or whatever, okay,
well, no, well, it's
sure,
not
but you don't
decided.
need to mean it for it to nonetheless,
I mean,
be spread through the message that you sent, through the tweet that you sent.
the weirdest thing to me is, regardless, you tell me all the things wrong with the United States of America. It's horrible history. You could bring up genocide of the Native Americans. You could bring up slavery. You could bring up how we treated African Americans, Black Americans in this country after during the Civil Rights era. You could bring up the Nazis we brought into this country. You will see nothing from me denying it. In fact, I implore more and more people to talk
Yeah,
about it.
I'm
Talk
not
about real
saying that you
American
believe
history.
that.
Okay,
I'm not saying that you believe
but
that.
I will say it is very weird, very fucking weird, that bringing up Nazis in Argentina, you don't get a discussion about it. You don't get a
There have been discussions about it, though. There was like 20-year-long government inquiry. That's what the report that
okay,
we
so I
spoke
guess we
about
can't
briefly
talk about
earlier
Nazis.
resulted in.
I guess we can't talk about Nazis in Argentina
No, you
or
can, you
because
can,
if you were born after that
but
20
just
year.
randomly bringing them up based on damaging cultural stereotype, which primarily exists because of imperialism, which is constantly used to legitimize imperialism. That's different.
No, I
That's
mean,
the issue that I have.
I think it's completely fair to bring up the historical context of, yes, there is a history of Nazis and neo-Nazis and white supremacists finding safe harbor in Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Peru.
I think there are better ways to do this without inadvertently spreading these sorts of damaging stereotypes. I think, for example, let's go back to the example that I used earlier. I know that you think it's not exactly the same, but I think it's a kind of similar, inadvertent, perhaps, spread of a stereotype, like an African American politician who is corrupt and being like, oh, plenty of African countries are corrupt. I think that would be pretty out of place to explain the actions of like a guy of like African descent in the USA, and it would be like referring
if
back to
if
damaging stereotypes about Africa.
if there was
Just completely needless.
If there was an African American president who was accused of some corruption, I agree it would be racist to bring up Africa. If there was a conversation sparked from that about how Africans cannot be corrupt, then I would without a doubt say, no, we could bring up African countries. And that's exactly the scenario that happened here. There was a Mexican American shooter that did a horrible act. This dude, without a doubt, was inspired by Nazis and white supremacy here in the United States, and based on his social media feed, probably at the very least was looked up to that same sort of what's going on in Mexico too with neo-Nazis and white supremacists, but mostly without a doubt the United States of America. But there was a conversation that was sparked from that about Latino and Hispanic communities as a whole. And I think you would agree that if there was an equivalent where all of a sudden, after an African American president was charged with corruption, there were articles about how, oh, African countries, they can't be corrupt. What's going on here? This is bullshit. You would think it would be fair game to then bring up that actually there is a pretty long history of African countries being led by pretty corrupt leaders. Probably some of the most
My
corrupt in the whole
example
world.
was a more relevant one, being an African American and then
No,
referring
it's
to
not.
Africa to
Because
explain their actions.
it's not, because that's not what I did. Like, why do you continue to
Well, you
avoid?
refer to South America to like to sort of as an explanation for how this guy can be a Latino white supremacist. I
Right,
believe there are
because
better ways to make that same point.
okay,
For
but then
example, by explaining how a Latino American can actually be a white supremacist rather than just lazily pointing to a cultural signifier that is the Nazi Argentina idea.
no, it's not just to point to a lazy cultural signifier, it's to show that there's a long history of it, that it's not some new trend that all of a sudden, oh, because you know what the conversation would be then. Oh,
I think
everybody's
it's
a
a
white
very different
supremacist
thing,
now.
actually. I think
Everybody's a white supremacist now.
the Nazis in South America, they're all white, like blonde haired, blue eyed. It's kind of a very different thing, really. You can't really explain like a brown Mexican descended neo-Nazi by pointing to Argentina or Brazil or
Well,
Bolivia or any of these other countries.
why can't you describe Argentinians that way?
Like what?
You just said you can't describe Argentinians as like your words, like a brown-skinned, darker
No, I'm
complexion
referring to
individual.
Nazis, like Nazis who came from Germany, right? They were like white people.
Sure.
So it stands to reason that them and their kids would also be white people.
I mean, they would be certainly could possibly be white, sure, but they could also have darker complexions too.
Yeah,
I'm a little
so
confused as to.
pointing towards these German, like literal Germans who migrated to South America as like an explanation for a brown-skinned man or brown-skinned white supremacist in the United States of America. To me, that doesn't really make sense.
Why doesn't it? If you're trying to say
Because
Argentinian
there's the
people
clear
with
racial component to right. So there's a racial contradiction there in
so
this
you
guy's
trying to say
ideology.
are you
He
trying to
thinks
say
he's
that
part
if
of the white master race, and that like Nazis would love him or something.
so are you saying that if if someone in Argentina is a descendant from a Nazi from Germany, like the guy came over from Germany, had a
Hmm.
family with someone in Argentina, you're saying that that kid, even though he might have lighter skin and lighter complexion, you're saying they wouldn't be Latino as well, even though their mother would be an Argentine native?
I don't know. Maybe would he in the U.S.? I don't know. You guys have
I would say
everything fucked up here.
no. I
What I
don't think
would say
it's
is
very
the
simple. If you
fundamental contradiction, because
Ooh,
Latino
that's
is not. It's not a
not a
race.
good
The
answer.
fundamental contradiction in that guy's ideology has nothing to do with his descent from Mexico as compared to Argentina. These places are incredibly far from each other. It doesn't really make much sense to really bring it up in the first place. But we're talking about like the racial contradiction here is what those Americans were saying he can't be a Nazi are referring to, because to them he's this brown guy. You're right. He's excluded from whiteness. He's excluded from white supremacy. To them, I don't think an Argentine like descendant of Nazis would be excluded from that. I don't think they would be like, oh, he's a Latino. I think they would welcome him with open arms. And that's the fundamental contradiction that they need explained to them. They don't need like lazily pointing to like a cultural signifier of Argentina being the Nazi country.
I mean, I think it's very relevant in terms of everything we just mentioned. I mean, we're just gonna disagree. I guess agree to disagree here.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, the I don't know what else to say honestly. Is there any other point you want to make? I mean, I guess but feel free. I'm happy to stay on the stream and listen to whatever else you got to say. But I don't know what else on my end. Go ahead.
No, no, tell Sam Cedar that he needs to tell AOC to vote no on increasing the State Department budget.
Okay, sure.
Thank you for relaying that message for me.
I'm sure he has that direct line to.
Oh yeah, no problem, no question.
I mean, the weird thing is, it seems like you and I come to, at least from what you're telling me, come to an agreement on everything except the fact that you seem to not like the
Yeah,
context I
because
brought
the
up this history.
disagreement isn't with our specific political views in this case. My disagreement with you is how you inadvertently spread this damaging idea that is weaponized against the, like the, not the left, but like, the compromise, like the Lula types in our country. It's used to link them with this idea of them having like a fundamentally irredeemable Nazi ideology. And that
There's no
hurts.
one in this country that thinks that Lula is a Nazi. In fact, he's very well
Um,
liked in this country.
what I meant to say there was that in Argentina, the politicians who are linked to Nazism via this fact they identify with Peronism, they are more like Lula than like anything else that I could think to compare them with. Nonetheless, they are branded as Nazis because of this Argentina Nazi special safe haven stereotype, particularly by Americans, constantly in the American media too. And that is damaging. And I would prefer that people do not spread this stereotype because then it can be used to hurt these politicians here who, as imperfect as they are basically, the lesser evil compared to the like imperialist backed neoliberals.
Okay.
And that's what I don't like.
All right. So I mean, I don't know what else to. I mean, I guess I could say the same to you again about because again, this is the same conversation that could be had with Ukraine. It really is, and it's silly to say you can't talk about the very real problem in Ukraine with neo Nazis because
Well,
it would give
I think this is
into.
also kind of different because there's not like some sort of massive as of like neo-Nazi militia in Argentina. There's not like a massive neo-Nazi movement in Argentina. The fascist movement in Argentina right now is just Trump inspired. They call themselves libertarians, but they're just like Trumpists. That
Yeah,
like
I think Trump.
so
Yeah,
kind of weird.
that's up there, man. That's white supremacy.
Yeah,
I
and their
mean,
ideology is imported from the USA. They're not like descendants of like the Nazis who came to Argentina. They're just like fucking losers who got told by this guy that abolishing every single social program will make them rich.
I mean, I don't know how else to bring up the fact that it does. There is an analogous situation there, being that you keep bringing up that the Imperial Americans use the historical fact that that Nazis are in South America in general, but Argentina in this case, and how Russia uses that same thing
I think the
to.
difference here is the war and R. It's the tense.
Right now, there is a very real war going on in Argentina. The imperialism's happening right now. Excuse me. There's a war going on in Ukraine. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
I
The
believe the problem
imperialism.
is I
The
believe the
imperialism's having
problem is
now.
that the
The
Nazis that
imperialism's
we're
having
talking
now.
about were about 70, 60 years ago. And the Nazis in Ukraine, they're there right now. If there was like an
Dude,
actual
there are
straight up
Nazis.
like
There are Nazis in.
German
There are
rat line
Nazis.
linked neo-Nazi movement in Argentina right now that was like armed and dangerous and
You
shit
don't
and
gotta
like
be.
tying
You
Romani
don't
people
gotta
to
be.
posts, I would be screaming about them.
You don't.
But
You
what
don't
I'm
got.
screaming about right now is actually the US backed Trump inspired fascists.
You don't have to be a literally descendant of Nazi Germany to be a Nazi, buddy. I mean, come on.
Okay. But there's not like an Azov tier Nazi problem in contemporary Argentina.
No, I don't. That'd be your specialty. So I guess I'll defer to you there. I wouldn't. I don't know about that. I mean, I
Okay.
would. I would
If there
highly
was an
doubt.
Azov tier,
I would highly doubt there's not.
a massive like Azov level
Yeah,
neo-Nazi
not.
problem in
Yeah.
Argentina, I'd certainly appreciate you talking about it. But
There
luckily there
should. Yeah.
isn't.
Luckily, there isn't. But to act like there's no neo Nazis in any military, it would be. I mean, that's a huge draw.
Well, luckily
Um,
Argentina completely destroyed its military after the US-backed Nazi-inspired dictatorship used it to murder 30,000 leftists. So that was pretty good. Now it's just a jobs program for like 2,000 losers.
all right. All right. I mean, I guess this was an interesting conversation. We
Okay.
again. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I feel like we're just talking in circles now. I could see my audience and your audience sort of getting. I don't know.
Oh, don't worry. I think
They
this was
won't.
very clarifying.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
Okay, great talking to you, man.
Was there anything else you wanted to say?
Nope, that's all. Thanks. See ya.
All right, cool. Have a great night. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. That was something else. Let's see what he says on the stream now, because I know he's going to talk about it.
Oh my God, I need to get the Demon Mama bathroom song. I mean, you can't say it's not in bad faith when he just refused over and over again to admit that there even exists this stereotype of Argentina being like a special Nazi haven, because the issue, obviously, as I said, literally a dozen times, isn't that there were no Nazis who came to Argentina. It's that Argentina was one of like 20 countries that did the same thing.
Oh my God, how many times did I say that? How many times did I say that? How many times did I say that? Holy shit.
Cultural idea.
What?
Of it being
What a fucking
like a
disingenuous asshole.
That is used
what a fucking
to both deflect
what a fucking disingenuous
like
asshole.
Nazi like this the same thing that happened in other countries.
What
and,
a fucking disingenuous
legitimize imperialism against the Argentine left that claims lineage from Peron.
Fuck you, man. How many times did I say that over and over and over again? You disingenuous bastard. Disingenuous right fucking bastard.
Alarmingly.
Oh my God.
Nazi.
What a fucking... And the way he fucking kept talking about Argentina as if he was a fucking... Oh my God. Very, give me a break. Go in his chat and let them know how fucking bad faith.
There's open Nazis in a lot of places.
Fucking
the US
bad
is kind
faith.
Of the exporter of global Nazism right now. Australia is also fucking huge.
He refused to fucking fix the stream so we could be picture in picture. He refused it.
Shootings, but
and then he tried to tell his audience too that I was gonna back out because we wouldn't do video.
Like the two main
bad faith
countries with these massive, like, open neo-Nazi movements right now.
And he kept telling me too that he was going to put me.
Though the Nazis in Australia, I don't think they actually have like any links to mainstream politicians. Though I haven't really been keeping up with it.
He kept saying how, I have 10 times the viewers as you. My viewership blew him away. He tried to act like this was going to be some big, platforming for me or some shit, which I would have, as you all know, I fucking take anybody. I was on debating Doug Lane with his 100 live stream viewers if he even hit that last week. But he kept acting like it was going to be some big platform for me. And then his viewership is less than mine. Fucking liar.
I mean, I don't buy the idea that he or anyone who uses Twitter who posts about politics who's ever heard of Argentina doesn't know of the Nazi Argentina stereotype. It's not true. There's no fucking way. God, is he watching the stream and complaining about it? I never said that. Don't worry, I'll upload the stream and people can judge what you said.
Yeah, people could judge what I said and they could hear that I said over and over again, South America. It was literally the main talking point from me. It was literally my main fact.
The greatest thing about streamers is that it doesn't fucking matter how badly someone gets blown out. The fans will always be on their side. It's kind of heartwarming, actually. There's so much love. There's so much love towards the streamer.
Why wouldn't I watch you lie after the stream, man? You're going to talk to your audience. Pull me up on yours. Let them see the same shit. Why is that some sort of big gotcha? I do a post show on every debate. Like, dude, you're a streamer yourself. Like, give me a break, dude. He's not happy. He's gone silent. he's reading. He's just reading the comments. He's seeing all the comments come in. The thing is, this is the saddest thing. Like, the dude's issue with me is tone policing. It's poo-pooing
I didn't know about.
that I
don't
brought
pay
something
attention
up.
to Australian politics anymore. It's completely irrelevant to me. The only reason I'm talking about the Nazis there is because I paid attention to that.
Like, the idea that this whole debate was about, and he never even brought up
Someone in the chat thinks he was Sam Cedar. That's fucking hilarious. Oh man.
Yeah, because you fucking
Someone
put
said
Sam
humiliating
Cedar.
for Sam.
You fucking put Sam Cedar in the title because you lie to your audience. You lie to your audience that apparently also has reading comprehension issues like you do when you keep saying that I said Argentina when I did not ever bring up Argentina before a bunch of Argentinians assumed I was talking about them because I said South America.
Debate people are fucking great.
You are the debate person.
Terrible, man.
You are the
one
one who publicly challenged me. You were the one who publicly challenged me. I didn't even know who fucking
Sam Cedar sounds a lot
was.
different. Sam Cedar sounds like this. I don't care. I don't care. I can't do American accents. There's no fucking way I can do it.
This dude is the one who publicly challenged me on Twitter multiple times. He got into my DMs. He demanded I come on his stream immediately, like in the moment. He challenged me. He was already in a stream and was like, come in right now. Come in right now in the middle of the day.
People like Sam Cedar. It's a channel that just goes over the news and provides completely really basic surface level commentary on it.
Oh, okay. Maybe because he has.
I guess people need their news filtered through a personality. That's why everyone watches Hassan.
Maybe he has basic reading comprehension, unlike you, who couldn't even go at this conversation based on what I actually said and had to keep denying over and over again what you perceive.
Right,
that
I'm too busy to vote on whether Indigenous people have institutional power because I haven't been in Australia for 5 years.
Right. White savior over here. I'm
not eligible to vote in Australia anymore, I'm pretty sure.
Bad Empanada.
Or if I was eligible, you have to do it via paper, and I don't know how that works. So, and you're talking like Indigenous voice to Parliament, buddy. I don't fucking know. I don't care either. I don't care about Australian politics anymore. And the whole thing with the Indigenous voice to Parliament, anyway, is very simple. It's a means being taken by liberals that gives no actual power. It's simply a ceremonial role. And they're going to use that, just as they did with the apology under Rudd, to then justify not doing anything that actually matters after that. It's not like, for example, the Maori seats in Parliament in New Zealand. It's literally nothing. It's literally ceremony. So...
like this dude could have come at it.
If I was voting on that, I'd probably vote no. And you know why I'd vote no? Because they're gonna use it.
This dude could have come at this as, oh, this guy, I see what he was doing. I have a problem with that. Let me sit down and explain or reach out to him in terms of this or that. But no, he took the opportunity to try to use this to, first of all, launder this bullshit that there was strictly going by 180 Nazi war criminals from Germany or from Europe after World War II, which is a bullshit number. If he's going to specify war criminals when literally thousands and thousands of Nazis came to South America after World War II, and then he tried to go about it. Oh, that list of 12,000 Nazis in Argentina, that list is from before the war ended. So that doesn't count. The 12,000 Nazis who were literally rallying in Argentina in the mid-1930s, and what was that? I think 1936 or something. Those 12,000 Nazis on that list that has now been discovered by an Argentinian researcher, that doesn't count to show that there are Nazis in Argentina because they didn't come after World War II ended. What kind of bullshit is that? Come on, man. Come on. Come on. But this dude could have basically reached out and wanted to have a conversation. But instead, you should have... I'm going to pull up the tweets. I'm going to pull up the fucking tweets. So you could see that Mr. just trying to educate, not a controversial streamer.
Rolling my fucking eyes at how stupid it was.
Not a controversial streamer. Just a regular dude. Just a guy trying to have a conversation. Let's fucking do that right now. Let's take a look exactly at...
Latinos. I don't have sound alerts anymore, so I can't make any sound bites.
Also, I love how he tried to school me on legitimate, like trying to act like people in South America don't consider themselves Latino.
One of my favorite things to do.
Half my family is Peruvian.
Make my fans cry.
Literally immigrated from Peru, not born in the United States, from Peru and came here.
Did I? And I never
and
will.
they
He's
call
like
themselves
Voldemort.
and their family constantly bring up themselves as Latinos. Give me a break. Give me a break. Maybe it's a special Argentinian thing. They don't consider themselves Latinos.
The title of the video as well will be Debating Discount Sam Cedar.
Yeah, I know, dude, because you're in bad faith. Even the fucking right-wingers I've debated with have more basic respect for the person they're going to talk with. Honestly. Fucking ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't need to. The only reason to put like a name in the title or whatever is if they're going to bring you views. I got
more views than you, man. I got more people watching
Sam
than you.
Cedar's 9th tier fill-in is going to bring in many views, unfortunately. Which of his fans are going to cry? There's like 5 of them. Yeah, I'm really embarrassed right now, dude. I'm fucking...
You should be embarrassed. Embarrassing. You're embarrassing.
I just embarrassed myself so badly. I just had such a terrible time there. Fuck. Damn it.
It was very embarrassing.
The greatest thing about people who like tie their identity to like another brand, in this case the majority of reporters, is that when they branch out on their own,
listen to the fucking cope. Dude, I branched out on my own literally,
and I take
10 years ago, dude. I branched out on my own 10 years ago. He knows nothing.
Elon Musk is going
go
to
let him know I left
Twitter.
the majority report.
And there's so many people on there whose platform is like basically solely Twitter. Like they have a lot of followers there that they've basically amassed just off like being there for a very long time.
So
you very slowly gain followers. And as long as you've been there, you know,
this dude
like
is a
10
fucking
years
idiot. Here, let me pull this shit up.
You'll have like 50,000 followers pretty easily if you're some sort of
And why am I pissed? Type. I'm pissed because he's a fucking liar.
Those people who have followers on Twitter, but they haven't actually turned that into a monetizable brand anywhere else. Oh, they're so fucked. They're so fucked. Elon Musk is going to ruin their life.
Oh, Elon Musk has been great for me, buddy. I don't know. He really doesn't know who I am. Yeah, I'm pausing this. Let me show you. Let me show this. And I never do this, but I'm going to fucking do it for this guy. These are his demented messages to me. Are you ready? These are the tweets. I didn't tweet at him once publicly. I DM'd him after he DM'd me. Look, ready? He's trying to act like he's Mr. Sit back, relax. I don't care, man. Matt, would you like to go over the historical evidence with me live and we can compare which country is the Nazi haven between yours and Argentina? Which America is, without a doubt, the Nazi haven in the entire world. Nazi haven capital, USA. Not even USA. Earth. What is this guy talking about? I don't trust anyone adjacent to Sam Cedar to be capable of anything but sophistry, and I'm sure the guy knows his limits, being seventh fiddle to an already dumb sock dem. But then it continues. Americans invited literally 10,000 plus Nazis post-war and have Nazi mass shootings every week, yet somehow still project this ahistorical myth on another country. There he is again, acting like it didn't happen. I'd make you cry if you dared talk to me about this live. This is him tweeting at me completely unprompted. Completely unprompted. I didn't say anything to this dude. He was obsessed. American Nazis, mass murderers, American Nazi mass murderers, Americans in America, something that happens like 3 times a month. Americans, this is because of Argentina. Never said that. I am citing a history book to prove this. A screenshot of the fucking History Channel website. Hop on my stream anytime and get reamed on this. Like, this dude was literally obsessed. Obsessed. And he's gonna act like he's Mr. Cool, Calm, Collected streamer. And then here's the fucking DMs. Here we go. I never do this, but here I am. The dude sent me. This is our first ever conversation. Never heard from this asshole before in my life. He sends me that tweet. Let me know. I got way more viewers than you, which he did not. Great opportunity for you to prove your beliefs. What beliefs? The fact that I didn't post an article that said Argentina, it said South America. Like, this dude just wanted the opportunity to fucking stroke his dick and pull out his academic research on Nazis in Argentina, which he never pulled out. I gave him the opportunity to. I said, you want to talk about it? No. Surely you're not just a typical American racist peddling stereotypes created by the U.S. State Department, which then backed actual Nazi dictatorships that genocided 200,000 people throughout South America, right? I just replied, always happy to talk. Okay, hop on now. You're trying to weaponize your ignorant American followers? Only fair I cite a dozen academic sources and make you look dumb in front of them. Only fair I cite a dozen academic sources and make you look dumb in front of them. This dude's making fun of Sam Cedar right now? This dude is making fun of Sam Cedar right now? I just replied, I can't just hop on now, but I'm happy to schedule something. And then he begged me to fucking retweet one of his tweets. If you're interested in informing your viewers with history books, RT that, smiley face. So then I replied, if you're interested in actually having that discussion again, let's set it up. I'm not interested in DMing anything about anything else. And then he goes, information is only useful if it can be monetized. This is the fucking guy who publicly started it by challenging me to a live stream debate. Sure, when do you want to do it, he says. And so I bring up, you're the one who issued the public debate challenge, so pretty bizarre of you to say that. You could have reached out via DM first, but you didn't. I'm only answering in kind. And then he goes, because I want to educate Americans who always end up justifying imperialism and then get angry when you ask them not to. But we can do that via stream all the same. And so then he refused to do Skype. He refused to do Restream. He wanted to do via Discord. And then on Discord, he was telling me that he refuses to set it up so we could actually talk face-to-face. He only wanted to do audio. Oh, it's pretty much what I wanted it to be too. Oh, I forgot the audio on. He said it went exactly how I wanted it to go. I
dismantled everyone he made completely. Man, you guys live in like an alternate reality.
Look at him coping right now.
That's fantastic.
Look at him coping right now.
It's like he's like apparently sitting there like watching my stream right now, responding to me in real time.
That's what
and sending his viewers here, and I don't have to do anything because I don't give a shit about him. He doesn't matter.
I just sent. You're the one who challenged me, dude. You're the one who sent the open fucking challenge.
His purpose
was
to act as a vessel for a topic that I wanted to talk about.
Right. So you misrepresented what I said in order to bad faith prophesize to your followers. That's exactly what happened. Yeah. You admitted it. Thank you. You misrepresented what I said to your viewers so you could talk about something completely different.
Will I get my teeth fixed? I don't know. Do you think Matt Binder is good looking? Do you think that angle makes any sense? I could see his webcam. It was not very impressive. Fucking hell. People make fun of me. The fuck?
He's going to my thing, isn't he? Oh, he's bringing up how I look. I'm a handsome devil.
That's a sexy man.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
I agree.
He has very good teeth.
I have nothing to say about you. Your looks are fine. I have no problem with that's. You want to go at people saying that to you? That's fine. I don't even respond to people saying anything like that because I think it's again.
Does not look like a Unabomber. Do not be mean to him, or maybe mean to the Unabomber.
There. Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. I don't play that way. I'm bringing up exactly what the topic was, and this dude wants to go off somewhere else. That's fine.
I'm consuming.
So am I openly admitting to disrespecting Matt Binder? Yes, I am, indeed. I openly admit to disrespecting Matt Binder.
It's Binder, but that's okay. I guess I messed up how to say Empanada for a second.
I'm disrespecting him right now, and I... Isn't that what the picture was for? I indeed admit, in a signed confession, to having disrespected Matthew Binder. And I'll do it again.
All right.
Isn't that obvious? Like the stream title is Discount Sam Cedar.
It was very
yes,
obvious,
I disrespected
right?
him before anything even happened.
Right. It's so weird because if this guy actually cared, he would have had an actual discussion with me about his concerns, but he didn't. He wanted to use this. He keeps saying it. He wanted to use this. Look at the title of his thing. If he really cared about leftist solidarity and spreading a positive message, he could have.
The way these people talk is fucking amazing. Not a good look, bro. Not a good look, bro. Bro.
He's having a hard time here. That's why this
you
is so fun to
disrespected my
watch.
favorite streamer, bro. Oof. Not a good look, bro.
He's having a hard time. I would have been happy to have a discussion with him. He's the one who wanted to.
Now that I
pound his
mentioned that everyone's
chest.
saying that those phrases, and I can't tell which is real and which isn't.
This is really something else. It's absolutely something else. I don't even know what to say. It really was incredible.
Oh yeah, I was owned really badly. I was owned so badly that I'm going to immediately upload the stream of that.
You should.
And it's
Binder's a Zionist. What are these lies in here?
Like,
Binder's a
I've been
Zionist.
completely owned that.
These guys just make things up.
Me in any way at all, aside
These
from
guys
making
just
me
make things
a couple
up.
$100 in ad revenue.
These guys just make things up. They just make things up. It's unbelievable. It's really bizarre. They really thought they were debating. I don't know who they thought they were debating. An MSNBC
yes, this is getting really sad. I'm extremely
commentator?
sad right now.
Really bizarre. Really bizarre.
Not a good look, bro.
How many times is he going to repeat
I'm here
that?
to complain about my favorite streamer getting destroyed in a debate.
He's having a hard time here.
If you even watch streams, including my stream, there's something wrong with you. Anyone who watches these streams of just like people talking, especially political streams, makes no sense. If you're going to watch a stream, at least respect yourself and watch like a Minecraft stream or something. This is a worse look than when I got arrested. Yikes, my guy. I can't tell which of these people are real. Which of these people are real now? Yikes, my guy. Matt Binder is incredibly mad. He's not feeling very good right now. One of us is very angry after that discussion. The other is very much not. Matt Binder immediately opens my stream, immediately tells his viewers to come here, and now he's like in the chat complaining. And he's like watching my stream. Dude, you watch streams on your stream?
Yeah, that's what people do. That's what streamers do.
What the fuck is this culture that has sprouted, like this politics streamer culture? Wow, what the fuck? What are we doing?
What are we doing?
You had a talk with someone where they were completely respectful to you the whole time and nonetheless blew you out because you made yourself look like a dumb fuck. And then after that, you open their stream to watch them to see what they say about you. And then you come to their stream and you complain in the chat? Like,
yeah, right.
What the hell? You stream to watch other people's streams?
It's right in your headline. You had a nice respectful chat. Look at the fucking title of your YouTube video, man. Are you kidding me? And then you admit.
You know, I can just respond to like any of your appearance-based insults by bringing up a picture of Matt Binder. He looked even worse on the webcam.
What are you doing?
I'll watch his stream, and then we can have like a never-ending stream inception.
Yeah, do it. Bring it up. I'm ready for you, buddy. Here we go.
Host Matt Binder guides me for all the conspiracy theories.
Admit. Oh, here we go. We're going to hear myself
Matt Binder,
now.
you're not looking good down there, my friend.
Why are you talking about how I look? I haven't brought up how you look. Very bizarre.
You know, I can just...
I'm keeping the volume off. Well, did
little
he mute
bitch.
it? Of course. Oh, I'm a little bitch for muting it.
What a fucking bitch.
How is that a bitch?
I was ready to come.
He said he won't do it again. I guess someone asked him to do it again on the stream.
You understand, I'm going to upload the VOD of that, right? And it's going to get like 30,000 views within a month, which is going to grossly eclipse the total views that Matt Binder will get on the same video.
Very small portion of
because
those
unlike
views.
Streamers, my channel has actual content on it, including this channel, which is a second channel that I literally pay no attention to and put no effort into.
Interesting. His whole thing was he didn't care about that stuff. This dude walks in circles, he talks out both sides of his mouth nonstop.
Matt Binder hosts a show with Lance where they debate who is the dumber leftist between the two of them or other people. Because if it's between the two of them, well, okay, that makes sense. That sounds awful. Okay, between the two of them. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I guess that's how you could describe leftist mafia.
You know,
Sure.
good on them for being
Why
honest.
not?
Oh yeah, me and Lance had a falling out because he supports Bo of the Fifth Column for being a human trafficker. And also I fought for
Oh. Oh boy. Oh boy, we're gonna talk about Lance now?
propensity to debate white supremacists and lose, and he keeps doing it anyway, which is very irresponsible. Lance is just like the cloudiest clout chaser I've ever seen in my life. Like, he will suck up to anyone who he thinks is a big platform, no matter what they do, no matter how shitty they are. Ignore the bad things they do, you know, side with them whenever they do something that is mildly
All right,
agreeable.
this is boring now.
He's a clout human centipede type guy.
This is boring now. I'm done. See, listen, look at how this, like, the reading comprehension among this guy and his fans, apparently it runs in his whole, he brings up how apparently Lance is
He
a
also,
fan
like,
of Bo.
Went
And then look at this
streaming,
comment here.
which
Binder
is
likes Bo.
degenerate.
Oof. I have no opinion on this guy. I don't know who he is. I don't know who Bo is of the fifth. I don't know Bo of the Fifth Column. No idea.
He's on
Know
White.
nothing
Oh my
about
god,
him.
he's on. You mean White Forest or whatever, or is White Leaf something else? Which is like the Vorsh fan cooperative. Oh my god, it's the Vorsh fan.
I know
cooperative.
nothing about Bo.
Fuck, man.
If I have to look into him, whatever it is, I'm not going to be a fan of someone if any
I
of
can't
this is
believe the
true.
shit that exists
I don't
around
know.
streaming. I was on Means TV, but I got them to remove me from it because it was an owners co-op. I never talked about that before. I mean, I don't really care about it, but it wasn't a real co-op.
I'm bored now. What do you guys want to do now? Should I take some calls?
Like, the way that it worked was they take the money from putting your videos on there and showing it, and you know, they take the subscription money and they give it to the owners first, and then the creators get like whatever's left over. And they told me that I had one of like the highest viewer rates on the platform or something because I was uploading my content there as well as YouTube, but I never got paid a cent. And then one day, like, they randomly
All right, I'm
emailed
bored.
me to try and get me to debate someone. I don't
I have
remember
no
who it was,
interest in-
about the Holodomor or something.
I have no interest in this. So I'm opening up the phone lines. Let's take calls. You know how to reach me. Doomed live on Skype. I'll take a few calls and then call it a night. Phone lines are open. Doomed live. What a waste of time. It was funny. Oh, here we go. Hey, what's your name?
You can you
Hey,
hear
what's
me,
your?
Matt?
I
There's no
can't hear you.
delay.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, hello,
Hey, can you hear me?
Matt. I
Wait, hold
can't
on.
hear you.
Hold on. 1 second. Let's see. Um, let's switch to this. You could hear me now?
I
Yes?
can hear you now. Can you
There
hear
we go.
me?
I can hear you. What's up, Dave from Jamaica? What would you like to talk about, my friend?
Well, he's fallen pretty far. He
It
used
was
to
it
do good documentaries, but I don't know what happened to him. I can't.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say, dude. Like I didn't know anything about him, honestly. But it's pretty crazy how literally the whole thing was bad faith, and he just like openly admits it without realizing it. Like he says he didn't do anything to. He wanted to have a nice conversation with me, but then like is like disrespectful from the get go, like in every single thing, like even in the video title. Very bizarre.
He
Um,
tends to do that with a lot of the people he interacts with, even those who might start out on his side. Gary's very funny, famous Latino Dave from Jamaica. Sorry, no, not a Latino, but I love Latinos. Um, the the issue is no, I don't think he understands modern Americans at all. Like,
I don't think he gets a lot of things.
right, because in that I remember that X-Men movie. Out of the millions of people who watched that X-Men movie, you could ask them where did Magneto kill those Nazis? They wouldn't even remember.
Right. I
About
mean, it's
two people.
ridiculous. Like he brings up X-Men, like Tim Pool brings up the Avengers, like the
Right.
Thanos thing. Like what a weirdo. Like really, what a
It's,
um.
it,
Right.
no, it's and just to say that Argentina is constantly berated because of its Nazi past in today, modern day America is, or sorry, the world in general is just not true. I
Yeah.
would be shocked. Hell, most of the people watched the Evita musical he was going on about.
It was
Could
so he just kept trying to downplay it though, like downplay Nazis in Argentina, when like it's just fucking like only one person, and he totally was not prepared for me bringing up the obvious analogy with literally a country doing imperialism right now using propaganda of Nazis in the country they are invading. He
right,
had no fucking clue except how to try to go, oh, but the difference is that there's no militarized Nazis in Argentina. Give me a fucking break, dude. It's the same shit. The propaganda is propaganda used for imperialism regardless.
right. Well, I guess the other part that kind of threw me off with the
And I want
Evita
to make it.
stuff.
I want to make it clear.
Go
I
ahead,
did
go
not.
ahead, go
I
ahead, go
want to
ahead.
make it clear. I didn't bring that up for him to say. So we shouldn't talk about Ukrainian Nazis because of Russia. No, I fucking think the other way around. And I've made it quite clear. We should 100% talk about the Nazi problem in Ukraine because there is one. Just like there's a Nazi problem in many other countries. But yeah, there's a Nazi problem in Ukraine. And I would say one very, Ukraine is very specific to Ukraine Nazi problem, just like, again, other countries have their own issues. But no way should you use that to deflect about Russia, which was what he wanted to do over and over again. Over and over again, bringing up how, yeah, but you shouldn't mention the Nazis in South
Yeah,
America or Argentina.
he was tone policing, but worst part he was tone policing about a stereotype that has not existed for decades.
Right. He's
Because
like a
like
child.
I'm remembering Evita. I bet out of the millions of people who watched Evita, none of them could even tell you what Pearlwood's politics was after watching the musical. Because I don't even think they were penetrating it at that level. I think that's the thing he kind of doesn't realize. There is not in the modern day context. There is no boy. Other countries thinks Argentina is full of Nazis. I have never heard that ever in a modern day context.
Right, but what do you know? You're a Jamaican, Dave.
It's all right. If there is a stereotype of racism in Argentina, it comes from more modern stuff like you people say
They're
like
really
football stuff, yeah.
this must be a really old stereotype, because the dude, yeah, there's a Simpsons episode, but the episode is playing on that ridiculous notion that that conspiracy theory that Hitler escaped to Argentina and was living a secret life there. That was the joke on the Simpsons. Like, to bring that up as the Argentinian stereotype. And yeah, Evita was actually based on the fact that she fucking actually went to Europe to help set up the fucking Nazi rat lines. She played a huge role in it. And his defense of Perón. Are you fucking kidding me?
Comparing
Are you
to
fucking
FDR
kidding me?
is a bit of a stretch.
Are
to
you
say the
fucking kidding
least.
me?
Yeah.
Are you fucking, I guess Donald Trump's a great leader too, because he was Mr. The American Forgotten Man. I'm here for the small America middle class. Give me a break.
No, that's it. It's a bit of I just don't understand what's up with that guy personally. If he just stuck to his first channel's documentaries, he would be fine. But this unhinged, extremist behavior, I don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
the whole anti-soldier thing or all of that stuff, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But, you know, I guess that's the third worldist logic thing going on. But I think...
Oh, I want to make it clear. I'm fine that he's still talking about me, because I'm still talking about him. It's a post debate. It's people in the stream are talking about. Yeah, it's fine. I mean,
it's just a very weird thing to see, because I was literally waiting for some point.
There was no point.
There was no point.
Yeah.
He literally got, and as you said, the original part of the conversation was, can non-white people be white supremacists? The answer
Specifically
is,
Latino and Hispanic. And then he went this weird route of saying South Americans aren't Latino, which is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard, being that literally I live in a fucking area with a huge population of immigrants from Central and South America. My best friends from Ecuador, from Colombia, half my family's from Peru, and they've all consider themselves to be Latino. It's very bizarre conversation.
Yeah.
Very bizarre. And I don't mean they were born here and they have that background. No, I mean they literally were born in their home countries and came here later in life.
I don't say, he didn't have any argument. He thought he was prepared to argue some straw man of Matt Binder.
Yeah, like I was going to go, no, leave America alone. Don't do that. Are you like, what?
And it's disappointing, to be honest, because as I said, he did good documentaries, but now he's just a mudraker picking fights.
Right.
That he doesn't do any good content anymore. It's just bad. But hey, Matt, you have more patience than me. I wouldn't even touch that guy with a 10-foot pole.
Hey, I gave him a chance. I thought it'd be interesting. Literally, I thought it was probably the most bad faith discussion I've ever had. And I've literally been on a show with fucking Lauren Chen and fucking Tim Pool and other right wingers. And I've been men's rights activists, and I literally thought this guy was the most bad faith of them all.
Super bad faith.
Incredible. I don't say it's. I want to make this clear. We probably agree on so much politically, which makes it bizarre that he chose to do this instead of having an actual conversation. Because it would have been very easy to have a conversation with me if he actually went through his thought process without misrepresenting what I said over and over and over and over again. We could have had a probably very fruitful conversation. But he didn't want to do that. He wanted the points.
Yeah, it's true. But I still just laughing at the fact that he thinks most in America that people think Argentina is like, I think Argentina think Nazi. As you said, they're most likely to think Messi. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. That's literally my son. My son wants a Messi jersey. I'm gonna buy him a Messi jersey. Argentina is great. The people in Argentina, I got no problem with them. Literally, I gotta tell you, all my knowledge of modern day Argentinians literally come from my friends who live down there and tell me about this stuff. And every single one of them, whether they're from Ecuador, Colombia, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, Peru, Chile, Brazil, they each will tell me And this is a true story. This happened right after I posted this stuff. Every single person I know from those countries who reached out to me said, absolutely, this is an issue in our country. And then B immediately said, to be honest, obviously not all Argentinians, but in all of our interactions with various different people in our continent, Argentinians have been the meanest and most racist to us. And this is across the board, everything I've heard. And I'm not even saying this to be stereotype Argentinian people, because that's not my experience. That's what I have heard from literally everyone I know who's come from.
That's the rap I actually heard. Not that Argentinians are Nazis, but they're mean. That's that's the rap.
They're fucking. Everything I've heard about them is that they're racist to the indigenous people and the people who are browner than them. That's literally all. And they're probably the whitest country in South America. You know, that's just basic. Like he said, he was bringing up the blonde-haired white people in Argentina. I mean, this just what the people who experience this down there have told me. And yes, this is their own experience, so sure, I'm not even painting all Argentinians with a brush, because I would like to say that all Argentinian people are not like that, because it's the truth that they're not like that. But, you know, they're the only ones who had a problem with me pointing out that there are Nazis in South America. Only one. Nobody else. It's very bizarre.
As you said, hit dogs holler, and you didn't say Argentina, but they jump up and say, ah!
Right.
And to be fair, I don't even think it's all Argentinians. I think it's very online weird Argentinians complaining.
They all had the 3-star emojis in their username. It seems like it's some like nationalist like dog whistle, like how you know, white supremacists here were doing the fucking all sorts of, they do the American flags and stuff, you know.
Yeah. Well, I just found the whole conversation so weird. I mean, he would do so much better if he just stays off Twitter. Stick to making the videos. Because
no, he wants to do, he's got to do his thing. That's his thing, obviously.
It's not working for him.
Right. Well, he told me he was going to give me this huge platform. But apparently I platformed him because all right, let's go to the next.
I'm going to jump to the next call, but I'm going to give a shout out to my very, very special friend Rachel.
Wait, hold on. In the chat, Ronaldo goes, "Holy shit, Matt, you were still on this topic. I just went to do all my chores, came back, and we're still on this topic." Yeah, that's the point of this. That's the fucking point of the stream. I'm not doing a regular stream tonight. I stream on Tuesdays. I went out of my way to do a stream on a day I usually don't stream. So yeah, I'm talking about what we just did today. That's what the stream is about. If you're not interested, come join me on another night. I'm taking calls. You could call me in. You could call and talk about whatever you want. But I'm assuming most people who call in are going to want to talk about this stream. All right, let you go, Dave, and I got to take other calls.
I'm just going to drop a quick thing. Shout out to Rachel, because she said she might know some people can talk to you about the far right in Ukraine. So
okay, cool. Let's do it. Peace. All right, let's take the next call that's coming in here. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Matt. This is Adam from San Diego.
Hey, Adam from San Diego. First-time caller, I think. I don't think I've ever spoken to you before. How you doing?
No, we've not spoken, but I participate in leftist Twitch, and I was watching today. And you know, good effort. Hey.
I mean, it's the weird thing was, like, I went into this knowing, like, how is he going to approach this? Because he's debating an imaginary person, like the person who he thought he was.
That's actually why I'm calling Matt. That's what my thing for you today is, which is that, yeah, of course that was a shit show. Everyone, there's no reason for you and I to rehash how disastrous that was. Everyone witnessed it. Everyone present probably agrees with you, and we could all see the gish galloping and the lack of desire to stay on any one topic. I mean, this is all very conspicuous. My concern is for you. My concern is You had all of the warning signs in advance that this was going to be a bad faith interaction,
Oh
that
yeah, of
this
course.
person that this person had no respect for you and was
Right.
trying to ambush you, and you played
I
into
did.
that.
Well, I didn't play into it. I think I got what I wanted out of it. I think there are people who are looking at him differently. And you could see it in his own chat before even any of my chat people went in. There were people who were going, "What are you talking about, dude? That's not that's not Matt Binder. I like Matt Binder. I like you too. What are you?" There was no one. There was nobody who's familiar with the both of us who ended up thinking I came out losing in this interaction. Of course, his fans are going to think that he won, because that's just how it is. But I knew there was a large overlap maybe not large, but a significant overlap between both of our audiences, because this dude apparently was a fan of Michael Brooks. And I think Michael would interact with him. I saw that Matt Leck and Jamie Peck both follow Bad Empanada on Twitter. So my assumption was that this dude, and from what I've understood from Lance of the Serfs and other people who've reached out to me, that this dude has fallen off since those days. And I just thought it'd be very easy to just do this stream. And if he didn't fall off, then we will have some nice chat and I'll have friends with a new live streamer. Like I don't,
Look, I don't fault you for wanting to be a good faith person. I don't fault you for being charitable, but as I said, like, I'm just saying that as a person who has been disappointed quite a lot in life, for you to sit there after you knew going in that this was an ambush to go, Jesus Christ, that guy totally set me up for an ambush. It's like, come on, Matt.
No. I don't think he set me up.
You're a New Yorker. Like,
I don't think he set. No. I don't think he set me up for an ambush. I just think it is amazingly telling that he's literally telling his audience exactly what I was saying he was doing. Like, it's an ambush. I don't think I would call it an ambush, because I got exactly what I wanted out of it too. I mean,
well, it's true. You got to show him for who he is. On the subject of the call, since I am calling from San Diego,
sure.
I'm somebody who lives 30 miles from the Mexican border. My high school was half Latino, and yeah, they regardless of what country they come from, they do call themselves Latinos. Here in San Diego, our entire economy is run by what our government is trying to stop coming in, migrant labor. And like, I'm exposed to all manner of Hispanic cultures here where I live, and nobody's talking about what he's talking about. So I mean, I do agree with Dave from Jamaica that Bad Empanada has no concept of the way Americans are interfacing with Latin culture in any sense or capacity.
He does not. No, he really does not. I mean, the idea that there is even a stereotype here, maybe it was back after, in the late 1940s, 1950s. We are now 50, 60, 70 years divorced from that. I would reckon that most Americans not only don't even know that that's a stereotype, they don't even know the actual history. That, Nazis went to South America after World War II. They probably don't even know that Nazis came to America. But if they do know that Nazis came to America, they almost certainly don't know that Nazis went to South America, because they barely know about this country to begin with for them to learn about something else. I simply wanted to show people who clearly did not know that there is a history here, and that anyone, regardless of where you're from, including on the continent of Africa, has white supremacists and Nazis. I
agree with you, like 100%. Like, if we're going to call out Nazis, we're going to call out Nazis everywhere. We're not going to say, we're not going to call out Nazis in this one country because there's some bad history there.
Right. That was my point. Yes.
Like, that's insane. I'm an older man. I grew up when Evita was popular. And and when Madonna did her film of it. And
Yeah.
I have no clue what Perón's politics were based on that film. And it was
Right.
popular in my lifetime.
Everyone walked away from that must have thinking that Evita was fucking great because she was played by Madonna, literally.
Yes.
Like everyone don't cry for me, Argentina. No one fucking knows what the actual background is. They're just singing the song and they go, oh, Madonna played her. Oh, we love it. Oh, we love that song. Oh, Evita must be like Madonna. This is great. That's American culture, as sad as it is, but that's actually it.
Right. Like that. I think that might. So that's, I guess, my two things for you. I'll let somebody else have the floor. One, please, like, as a leftist, as somebody who's inclined to debate with people, it kills me to see someone like you set themselves up for that kind of interaction, because I'd be tearing my hair out if I was you. So like it pains me to watch you walk into that.
I'll be honest. This was easily the most bad faith discussion I've ever had. And I literally went to Tim Pool's compound. I literally think this was more bad faith than that, which is really sad because this is a dude who supposedly shares a good percentage of politics with me, and he preferred to get some internet points over it. I mean, I got internet points out of it, but the reason I did was because I heard this dude fell off and wanted people to see how badly he fell off, and I think he showed how he acted, just how badly he fell off, because this could have been a nice, friendly interaction, and we probably would have both walked away from something out of this. Instead of him just, what is he now? He's talking about how I look. I mean, I really don't give a shit, but I mean, it just shows you what he's focused on and what he cares about.
No, Matt, you're wrong. No, in a battle of wits, your physical appearance is the most material factor. You're completely incorrect about that. My second point was simply just that I think it's safe enough to just write this off as somebody who is farming content and does not understand America, so they're targeting Americans to farm that content off.
Well, listen, I honestly don't even have a problem with him demonizing America or anything, because you know what? There's like, my whole point is that you won't see that from me. You can talk all the shit about America's horrible history, and you should. I'm saying, why can't you do the same for the country that you live? He's not even Argentinian, first of all, but fine, he lives there, so he feels some sort of affinity for it, which is really weird because I'm American. I don't even have a fucking affinity for this country. We should absolutely talk about this country and its horrible past. Really bizarre. This dude's got nationalist tendencies of his own that he's got to deal with. But listen, why can't the Argentinian people who had a problem with my pointing this simple historical fact out just come to terms with it, and then maybe we can move on very easily to this next point that they want to focus on, that it's weaponized against their country. It was back in the day. I honestly don't see it now. Like, the idea that there is some imperialist effort in Argentina right now based on the 40s rat lines is bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit.
The most demonized country in South America is Venezuela. We all know that.
Right. And it's not the Nazis they go after. It's not the Nazis they use. They use the fucking Venezuelan socialist and communist connections. They don't fucking use any of this fucking bullshit about Nazis.
That's right.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Thanks for taking my call.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for calling in.
See ya.
Nope. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hey, it's Saul from Canada. You can hear
Hey,
me?
Saul from Canada. How are you? You first-time caller?
Yeah, first-time caller.
How you doing? Love
I
first-time
just-
callers.
I liked the debate. I like your debate style a lot. I thought it was interesting. I can sympathize with the previous caller where it's a little, it can be a little hard to watch these things sometimes, but definitely the most annoying thing he kept on bringing up was that African corruption point, which seemed to be
Because he wanted to. He's being a little bit racist there, because the point is that the analogy that I brought up, using his bullshit analogy, is the correct one, because that's what I did with the same scenario with the Mexican American shooter in Texas. There was 3 there was three different points made, and he was trying to jump to 2 points in his analogy. My point was Mexican American. The scenario in my point was Mexican American neo-Nazi shooter shoots up a mall in Texas. Horrible, 100% what America needs to deal with. It's an American problem through and through. But because of his, and here's, but this is where we jump to a whole nother degree here. What happened started a new discourse, a connected but new discourse about whether Latino and Hispanic people could be Nazis and white supremacists. And that's where my point came from. He tried to go, if there was an African-American president who was corrupt, would you say, all Africans in Africa are corrupt, whatever? Skipping that second degree in the middle, which started a new discourse. If he had said, the actual analogous thing would be if there was a conversation after a corrupt African-American president went down that, African countries can't be corrupt. Then, you bring up the long history of African-American leaders in Africa being corrupt.
Yeah, exactly. It was hard to really parse his argument throughout the entire discussion. But on Africa, it felt like a kind of gotcha thing to be like, oh, well, you need to take a specific position on this, and then it's going to become this like larger argument about race or something, and it just,
right.
The point never stuck with me to begin with, but that's pretty much my point.
Right. You cut out for a second. Thanks for the call. That's definitely the point to be made, because that's certainly where he was going with it. I just shut it down in a much easier way, where his fucking line of thought was bullshit because he was skipping the whole step that makes my line of thought relevant to the current discussion.
Exactly. Thanks for having me on.
Have a great night. Thanks for the call.
All right.
Bye. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hello.
Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you great. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Black Underdog. I'm actually calling from New Zealand. It's 3:00 in the afternoon over here.
Oh, hope you had a good lunch.
I did. I had a sandwich actually. It was very nice.
Ooh.
Sorry about if there's any noise interference.
No, everything's fine. No, I love
I'm
first time
using my
callers.
shitty laptop mic and
I love it.
everything.
It makes to hear so many first time callers call in makes tonight completely worth it, regardless of how it went down, because clearly it connected to some people who weren't usually listening to me. What would you like to talk about?
Yeah, I actually wanted to call in because I've just been sitting here listening to the call of Bad Empanada, and I just wanted to chime in. Is this like the first time you've interacted with him? Are you not aware of his shenanigans?
The truth is, I don't pay attention to leftist streamers. I really do not. People had. I was familiar with him years ago because he loves talking how he thought Michael Brooks was great, because it's funny because I literally hosted a show at Michael Brooks for 4 years. And apparently he doesn't know me though, which is fine. I'm a nobody. I really am. But the idea that he'd be some like Michael Brooks fan is funny to me, and act like I'm just some like eighth stringer for Sam Cedar. But I was familiar with him, and I heard he had good takes back in the day, and then I just assumed he was the same guy. But then people saw him interacting with me just last week about the Argentina thing, and people immediately reached out to me and said, this dude's bad faith now. He's not whoever you thought he was. He's a bad person. They sent me just straight up vile anti-Semitic shit, he said. Straight up anti-Semitic. I didn't want to even bring it up. I should have, but I didn't even want to go there.
Really should have. That would have been
I should have. I should have, but you know what? I didn't want to get into, because then he'll just claim he's not an anti-Semite, and then his audience will just go how I tried to bring that up. Is I wanted to keep it on the topic, because the main point of the topic is that he is a bad faith dealer who literally was arguing with an imaginary version of me, and every time I tried to bring that up, he would simply invent the idea that I meant something else, trying to assign my
that's
thoughts to
completely
somebody else.
non-tangential. It's not related. Why are you bringing it up? Ooh.
Right.
Yeah, no, but I wanted to talk about that because, Bad Empanada has been incredibly bad faith for years now. He's been obsessed with multiple different content creators, mostly like Bosch and Keffels, the former of which he's been on a campaign of alleging that Vosh is a pedophile who looks at child pornography for, I think, the last 3 years. He brings it up at every opportunity, keeps defending it. He's also like, because you're aware of the Semitic.
Hold on. I just want to point this out. He just fucking. It's a good thing I streamed this shit. He didn't want me to. He was really trying to convince me not to stream it. He just privated the video.
Wait, he did?
He just privated our debate. Luckily, I streamed it. Yes, he privated it.
That is fucking hilarious.
He privated it. He's probably coward. What he's probably going to do. He's probably going to download it and he's going to cut it up and he's going to put it up on his main channel. He's without a doubt going to do that. He didn't want me to stream it. He was really serious, but he didn't want to go on video. He pretended that I was trying to like hack his YouTube channel because I wanted him to do. Restream has a feature where if you invite a guest, they could connect their YouTube channel to Restream, and like I don't get those details. It's a thing on Restream's end. I use that for leftist. That's what Leftist Mafia uses. That's what me and Doug Lane used, and everyone saw me and Doug Lane go at it on Friday. I had a debate with Doug Lane of Sublation Media. We were going at it on the Twitter.
And his camera's clearly working. And
he just fucking privated his video. There's no reason to do that at all. Private the video, because he could still leave it up and then still cut it up all he wants. But I'm assuming he doesn't want the whole version up for some reason or another.
Yeah, no, but further to the point, God, my dog really does pick his times. One of the major issues with Bad Empanada is his virulent anti-Semitism in the way that he hates anything Israel related, anything he calls Zionist, and he accuses people of randomly being Zionists. He thinks that Israel should be nuked off the face of the planet, that sort of thing. And I actually got
that's good leftism, because solidarity. He was bringing up let's just take it from his angle. He was talking about solidarity with the left in South America. How we're doing imperialism by bringing up Nazis and hurting the leftist Peronists in Argentina. What about there are progressives and leftists in Israel? There are. I've interacted with them. They're fucking stuck in the most fucking right wing.
Who doesn't think that it should be wiped off the face of the planet is a Zionist and therefore should deserve the wall in this point. But he actually threatened to dox me over an argument that we had about it a few months ago, which was thrilling because I basically disagreed with him on that. And then he said, "Oh, you're equating all this to Zionism. Someone get me this guy's details," which is a very mature way of losing an argument over Twitter, harassing someone who has like less than 100 followers. That's fun.
Right. I mean, listen, I didn't want to bring up the anti-Semitic thing because, listen, he certainly goes too far. And then I already see it right now with his audience in my chat. Oh, why are you bringing up? Why are we weaponizing anti-Semitism? Israel's a fascist apartheid state. Yeah, it is. It is. It's a fucking right. It's probably one of the most right-wing, one of the most right-wing regimes, right-wing governments in the entire planet. Who do you think you guys are? Who do you think you guys are dealing with here? Like, who do you think you are interacting with? This imaginary made-up version of me that Bad Empanada told you guys about? I really do not understand.
Like you saw in his chat that
I just think we shouldn't fucking do genocide on an entire population of people. But free Palestine. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, 100%. I'm 100% for It's a ridiculous conversation we're having here with the
He's
people
definitely
in
going
the.
to find some way to make you seem like you are a Zionist or you support Israel or something, because that's what he does with anyone who basically criticizes them. Either that or baseless accusations of human trafficking or pedophilia, as we've seen with Bo of the Fifth Column and Bosch and everything.
Listen, I don't
But
know. Listen, I've heard this stuff about Bo. I have no idea. Kobino says the caller is calling him anti-Semitic. Well, I would say nuking everybody in Israel is probably not a very lefty thing to say. How about that?
yeah,
You
I
know,
like at the bare minimum,
yeah.
I don't think Israel
Yeah.
should be nuked. I don't think that's a very good
Right.
position to take.
And then
Yeah, I just-
Kobino says no one thinks Israel should be nuked. Palestine is right there. Ha ha ha! Very funny.
I
get-
remember
yeah,
because I've
yeah.
seen Kobino. He's been in the YouTube chat and has been
Yeah.
pretty argumentative with Bad Empanada, I guess.
Oh my God! Someone just said.
Did I cut out?
Breyer says Matt is so fucking middle class. Take that crash shirt off. What do
Hello,
you think?
did it cut out?
Oh, I still hear you. Can you hear me? I guess you cut out. All right, but let me say, Matt is so fucking middle class. Take that crash shirt off. What? Who do you think Steve Ignorant? What do you think happened with Steve Ignorant? What do you think he was doing when he? What do you think? Where do you think he was doing? Amazing. All right, let's go to the phones. Back to the phones again. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
God,
Hello?
Matt Bender, my God in heaven, I got through. My name is Josh. I am currently calling from Tulsa, Oklahoma, but it is not where I'm from. I'm a Texan.
Ooh.
I will have words with anyone that calls me an Okie.
What was it to talk about?
Well, I want to say the guy who just an asshole. I don't want to go too deep into that because it's not exactly why I called.
Wait, what happened?
Am I watching an old feed?
No.
Bad Empanada debate?
Yes. The Bad Empanada debate. Yep.
Yeah. That guy. No, not the guy that just called. He was great. Oh, sweetheart.
Yeah.
No, the bad at the end when you're feed and he's pulling up pictures of you and your looks, that tells you everything.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him do that, and people are gonna say that was he was saying that because people in his chat were calling me people in his chat who apparently were fans of mine were calling him names or commenting on his looks. Okay, that's not me. If someone in this chat was talking shit about Bad Empanada's looks, I would not have even was talking if like his followers came here and started talking shit about my looks, I would have just interacted with them. He's not the one saying it. That's just ridiculous. That's child. What are you guys, children?
Yeah, seriously.
Like children? I would never talk about somebody's looks. Unless they wanted to play that game and fucking go at me. But I'm not even going there, even with him, because it's not worth it for me.
Yeah, and last thing I'll say about that, because it's not why I wanted to call specifically, but Kurt Tonk was the head of Focke-Wulf warplane manufacturing company in Nazi Germany, made the Focke-Wulf 190 amongst other planes for the Nazis. Huge Nazi, massive Nazi, like in deep with the Nazi party, gigantic Nazi. After World War II, went to Argentina, designed airplanes for the Argentinian.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something really funny? Really funny. One of the only times I mentioned Argentina on Twitter after I posted that thing, because there was Argentinians in my fucking mentions arguing that they only took people like Kurt Tonk, who wasn't really a Nazi. He was just a German engineer.
No, he was a gigantic Nazi.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for bringing it up, because those were the Argentinians I was dealing with. The Argentinians that Bad Empanada is defending, who are saying, oh, we need to worry about their feelings. The fucking Argentinians who were telling me that fucking Kurt Tonk was not a real Nazi. He was just a German engineer. I guess, Hitler wasn't a real Nazi. He was just, the leader of Germany.
He also, incidentally, a small factoid, stole the basis for his design for the Focke-Wulf 190 off of oh, what the fuck was the name of the Leonardo DiCaprio movie Aviator? What is the name of that Charles? God damn it, what was the name of that guy? It doesn't matter. It's not important. It was just an aside. What I really wanted to call about is the conversation you had with that guy the other day, the leftist. Was it David Lane? Was that his name?
Oh, Doug Lane.
Doug Lane, was that his name? I listened to that driving home, and I think I know why he just totally cut out and was just like, "Oh, hey, I gotta go. Like, I gotta go, bro."
Well, because I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. But go ahead. To be fair, before the stream started, he told me his washer dryer or whatever broke, and he had to go to a 24-hour laundromat. So he did tell me in advance he had somewhere to go. Still, I wouldn't have, if I was in his position, I wouldn't have cut the stream on me having the last word as the person who has to leave. I would have given it to the other person, but that's just me. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that like he's just like at every instance and every argument that he brought up, talking and just beating about it, being like so vitriolic about it, and then like you're just like, oh no, well it's because of A, B, and C, and then X, Y, and Z.
I mean,
and he's just like, oh yeah, I guess those pictures should have been taken down. It's just like, yeah, you dumb fuck. Like, yes, they should have.
It's this is another guy who I know of because of Michael Brooks. Man, I wish Michael was here. I wish fucking Michael was here. Yeah, it's. But I also really do think that we all, I mean, I didn't, because he was just my friend. I knew him. You know what I mean? But there was this lionization of him after he passed by people who, without a doubt, if Michael was still alive, would have been calling him an MSNBC liberal because of his connection with Sam Cedar. So, I don't know how different things would be if Michael was still here, honestly. I would just wish he was here for the sake of having my friend here. I think it's rough to have a conversation with someone. And this is weird. Both these debates I had this past week are sort of have this relationship. They're one and the same in this way. It's difficult to have a debate with someone who denies the basic reality of the main topic of conversation. Doug Lane, for example, would not even admit that is not a First Amendment violation. Like, you could have all the problems in the world with social media posts being taken down and what you think is overreach from the various different U.S. government agencies. We'd have that conversation, and I'll probably agree with you on like 99.9% of those things. But you could have those conversations without lying about these social media post takedowns being a First Amendment violation when they are just, in all sense of the word, not. Like, it's just not. It's not. Factually, they are not a First Amendment violation. It's just the facts. I don't know how else to put it, but he just would not give that basic fact up. And you can't have this conversation with someone who won't do that. And then with Bad Empanada tonight, he refused to admit the basic fact that everyone can see plain as day, that my tweet said was a history of how South America as a whole was used as not the, one of many Nazi havens, in a conversation about how whether Latino and Hispanic people can be white supremacists or have neo-Nazi sympathies. Very simple, but he would not give into that basic fact to the point where he said he knew my true intent, as if I'm out here trying, like I'm scheming over here, like, ooh, how can I help America, overthrow the Argentinian government? It's fucking ridiculous, man. Like, you can't have a good faith conversation.
Total bullshit. And he kept saying the myth of it being a Nazi haven. It's like, no, motherfucker, it ain't a myth. Like, they went there in droves because it was non-extradition, and that's why whenever they got their,
the Mossad fucking had to go there and fucking Nazi hunt. Yeah, they had to fucking Nazi hunt there. Yeah,
because there were shitloads of Nazis there. It's just insane. It's just the myth of it. It's like, get the fuck out of here, dude.
Right.
Get the fuck out of here. And then it's like,
Alan Kennedy says would rather listen to Michael than Binder. I agree. I'd rather listen to Michael than myself too. I mean, absolutely.
Like, I've been listening to the Majority Report since, I don't know, probably 17 or 18, and I had been listening a couple of years before Michael died, at least, and that's how I know you and Jamie Peck, and I mean everybody, and so it's kind of all spiraled out from there. So it's really cool to be talking to you, I gotta say.
Oh no, great.
Because I've actually been, I was looking for a reason, and then listening to that debate with Lane the other day, or the debate with Lane the other day, I was just like, oh, this is good. I got to call in and just pat you on the back for like handling that like a pro.
Both,
Just
I want to make it clear. Both those debates were people coming to me, in Ben Empanada's case, basically begging me to interact with him. Doug Lane reached out, and he actually reached out publicly saying how no Majority Report host wanted to. All the Majority Report hosts were too scared to debate. That he reached out to multiple Majority hosts, but he didn't reach out to me. He reached out to multiple Majority Report hosts, but none of them replied to his messages. I saw him say that, and I simply went, "I'll debate you. Why not? Let's do it." Because the funny thing was, his issue about this, his whole issue was with my coverage of the Twitter files, because I'm the Majority Report host that covers it. Because that's my job. That's my day job off the Majority Report. My beat is covering Twitter. I cover Twitter. That's why it's always, I find it really funny whenever like a blue check like right winger is in my feed, like when I'm tweeting about Twitter. Oh, you're so obsessed with Elon Musk. Well, it's my job. I literally cover Twitter and Elon Musk. That's my beat. I cover Twitter and Elon Musk. So yeah, you're going to see a lot of content. Right. You're going to see a lot of content about Elon Musk and Twitter coming from me. So he reached out to Majority Report, not me, reached out to Majority Report because he saw my Twitter file stuff. And so I was like, this is ridiculous. Why doesn't he just reach out to me? So I said to him, you're looking for someone. I'm willing.
Well, you did a good job. And back to the bad empanada thing too, like the whole like origin of white supremacy in quote unquote brown countries, it has everything to do like not with Nazis but with like European imperialistic colonization, throughout like the 17 and 1800s, like Philippines, Thailand, I mean Central and South America. It's like the closer.
And then when you have large communities of those people living in these various countries, they interact with people who are native born, and then that's how you spread white supremacist and neo-Nazi ideology. That was my point. That was my point.
They come into like high society, because they have wealth, like familial wealth and legacy and all that shit, and they come in and they establish themselves as a hierarchical in a hierarchical capacity in these countries and take over positions in government and like run companies, and it's just like and so like now you have all the people. I used to date a Vietnamese woman, and she was like, oh yeah, in Vietnam it's like if you have dark skin it's like you're looked down on because you're out in the field picking rice, like you're a worker.
I have many family members who were born in Peru. And they tell me about how in South America as a whole, it's a huge racism problem there. Not the same type of racism here in America, but the skin tone you have. You could both be Peruvian born, no different sort of race, racial background, but if you're born with darker skin, you'll experience so much fucking racism. Just like casual racism too. And it's especially prominent from friends I've heard from the country, from the certain sects of people in Argentina, who, by all accounts, seems to be the whitest region of South America.
All I can really say, in my experience, is I'm of Hispanic descent. It's like I'm very white, but my mother is like half Hispanic, and my grandmother, her mom, is half Spanish and half Mexican, and she's racist as fuck. She hates black people. She's also a really horrible person, like on top of that. Sometimes you got like the racist grandma, and it's like, well, just a relic of the time, it's just she's just racist, I mean, she's sweet, makes great cookies, but she's racist. But my grandmother.
Someone, I've seen this quote before. I forgot. I gotta mention this quote. Someone put it in because it's exactly the president of Argentina last year said the Mexicans came from the Indians, the Brazilians came from the jungle, but we Argentines came from boats, and they were boats that came from Europe. I mean,
There you go.
I've seen that.
I've never heard that before, but
The one I've seen actually was the Mexicans came from the Aztecs, the Peruvians came from the Incas, and the Argentines came from the boats of the Europeans. That's the one I've seen before.
there's so much cultural destruction from from Europe like into Central and South America, like throughout, I don't know, post Renaissance,
All right,
going into
people are having an issue with me saying apparently one of the Dylan CIA Burns. I'm sorry if I said racism when I should say colorism or bigotry. The point is there are bigots in South America. I use the words interchangeably sometimes in conversation. I'm sorry, I'm not being academic when I'm speaking.
yeah, there's there's prejudiced people everywhere, they're everywhere.
Right.
Well, hey, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you probably got some phone calls there, and I just, good talk. I'll call in more.
Yeah, cool. Take care.
Yeah, be safe out there, man.
Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Matt?
Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm from Canada. Oh my god. The stream that I'm watching on the TV is really behind.
Oh yes, it's not. Yes, it's very behind. That's how it is, unfortunately. But just lower the volume on that and talk to me here, and we're good.
Okay. First time caller, big fan of your majority reports us. Also, I came into the video late with Bad Empanada, but as they were saying, long time ago, ran into him, but yeah, completely bad face. And yeah, I can attest that everything that they said about the anti-Semitism and stuff is very true.
Right.
Sorry.
And I want to be clear. I specifically didn't bring up the anti-Semitism because I didn't want to go there. I maybe I should have, but I didn't want to. I didn't think that was relevant to the discussion. Although maybe it was relevant to the discussion when you're trying to basically downplay the Nazi problem in the historical Nazi problem in the country that you live in, that apparently you're very nationalist about. It's very bizarre. I can't imagine caring about a country my home country that much, let alone a country I wasn't even born in.
Yeah. Sorry, my headphones. I'm honestly, I've never done this before. Like, actually called into a show, so I'm like, am I gonna have feedback if I take the headphones off or what have you? Sorry, really nervous. But yeah, I just also find it strange because I don't know, he's not even initially from Argentina, but he goes on about like, oh yeah, Argentina, and I don't know, taking shots at you and like Lance of all people, a fellow Canadian, Lance.
Well, listen. It's very clear that this guy is one of those people who pretends to say like pretends their position is something that is exactly what their position pretends their position isn't something that it actually is. Like he constantly went on and on about how much he doesn't care about streamer culture. Yet it's all he talked about. Like, I don't pretend streamer culture doesn't play into what I talk about because I'm a streamer. Like, the guy who's a streamer is pretending he's not a streamer. Very weird.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. I completely agree with that. But yeah, this is surreal. It was really nice calling, and I've just subscribed, and I realized that a long time ago I did actually subscribe to Pet Empanada, but I've since unsubscribed. So yeah.
I mean, I'm not telling him to unsubscribe from him.
I
want to make that clear. Like, listen, I don't care if you like Bad Empanada, that's fine. I'm sure he still puts out good videos when he's not acting in bad faith and just talking about. But you know what? I don't know. I don't know, man. I think it'd be very hard to at this point. Maybe his old stuff is still good, but when you got someone denying, I mean, is he not covering things because he doesn't want it to be used in his opinion in bad faith? Was he like hiding historical knowledge for that reason? Like, I don't know. I'm not saying he is, but he made it clear that there's certain things he wouldn't talk about. And the history of Nazi rat lines is apparently in South America is apparently one of them.
Yeah. I appreciate you taking my call. This is really cool. I must say, keep up the good fight and solidarity from Canada.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Matt, it's Jesse from Montreal.
Hey, Jesse. Oh, so many Canadians right now. What's going on? How you doing, Jesse from
I
Montreal?
was gonna say it's gonna be another nervous first-time Canadian caller. So
Right, right.
yeah, it's going well. Yeah, I just wanted to comment a bit on the debate, ridiculousness of, this guy going after you for racing.
That's
Um,
exactly what it is. He wants me to not
yeah,
talk about Nazis in South America unless it's done so in a way that he deems acceptable.
yeah, and also though, like clearly failing the basic empathy test in every single regard of the interaction with you, from the DMs to the like basically ad hominem attacks on your appearance, going after chatters, like all this clout chasing, like all the majority report disses and jokes. Like, I don't know. It's very hard to believe that someone who's making those exact same kinds of like comments in their interpersonal relationships or interpersonal interactions with people actually genuinely mean that in terms of their, I suppose. If that makes
Right, right. I
uh,
mean, it's I think it's probably one of the the weirdest conversations. Like
yeah,
Doug Lane. I know his background. I know he's one of those old school sort of lefties who's been bitten by the contrarian Matt Taibbi, Glenn
for
Greenwald
sure.
bug. Like it's clear as day who he was. And you know what? I
Yeah.
don't think he was acting in bad faith. I think he did some. Um,
You just lost the plot a
I
little
think
bit.
I think there were some bad faith moments, but I don't think he did it purposefully. I think he literally was trying to win the argument and fell into some weird like just that one moment that was really weird was when he asked the question and he kept going on and I said, "Can I answer the question?" And he went, "No, you can't. It's rhetorical." That was
Yeah,
easily the
that
weirdest part
was.
of that
Yeah.
debate.
And
Because
then
it
said he
clearly
was disappointed in you.
Right, right. Because it clearly wasn't a rhetorical question either, by the way, because he went into this conversation knowing I don't agree with him on that on that very basis. So it couldn't be a rhetorical question. Um, but I actually don't think he meant anything by it. I think he really was just caught in the moment and said something really silly. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how it felt to me because, the conversation we had before and after was a cordial one. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I've had these fucking same cordial interactions with every one of these fucking right wingers I've fucking debated and been on shows with, and I think they're deplorable fucking people. But
Yeah.
it's just a basic, common, human interaction you have with someone when you invite someone to your home, to your platform. You don't fucking proceed to trash them. Like, it's just very bizarre that he thought that was what his position was here, to just
Yeah.
treat me like some sort of fucking like inanimate object, which he clearly made obvious that that's what he felt like he needed to do.
Or
Very
even the
bizarre.
part where he said like he didn't even care about you. He used you as a vessel, like
Right,
a straw man, to basically
right.
go into this like minor pedantic point about the supposed stereotype of like Nazis in
Right.
Argentina, which also as
I would have
a
much preferred if he was like, I had Matt Binder on to dismantle and destroy everything he believes, because then at least he's giving me the courtesy of attributing like consciousness to me. Like this
right.
dude literally fucking the worst people on the planet have treated me better than this motherfucker did.
That's rough. That's rough. And I mean, the other thing too is by emphasizing this very minute little sort of pedantic thing and not accepting the idea that you even like that you were being misinterpreted. He's like, oh, even no, you can't be misinterpreted. You're basically unwittingly participating in a stereotype you yourself are not aware of, right? So it's like if you're not aware of this stereotype, it's because you are an idiot, because he wants to score the academic point. But if you are aware of the stereotype and are using it, then you're like, you're a racist. But also by focusing on this particular point, you're not able to actually talk about any of the reasons why this mass shooter did what he did, right?
Right, right. That's literally all I wanted to talk about. I didn't care about Argentina. That's why I specifically picked out a headline that did not mention any specific country, because I thought, who's going to fucking care about bringing up a continent? Like, literally, it could be any of those countries on there. Imagine if I got all upset because someone said something about North America. Who gives a fuck? I don't even care about someone saying shit about the United States. Why would I care about someone saying something about North America? Bizarre behavior. And to me,
Yeah.
that really speaks to me in terms of there must be a big problem in Argentina. I'm not saying it's widespread through all the people, but there is clearly a significant, at least one that's very online, a significant subsection of people in that country who either deny basic history, aren't being taught basic history, or I have no fucking idea. They're just straight up, literally white nationalists, white supremacists, and Nazis themselves, and trying to do the same thing that neo-Nazis and white supremacists all over the world do, and deny that they actually are. No true Scotsman, no true neo-Nazi.
Right. Yeah. No, it's interesting. I mean, not that this is necessarily an indicator of whether the stereotype exists or not, because I don't know anything about that. But as a Canadian, I've never also, when I think of Argentina, I also don't think about that it's like this secret Naziist cabal.
I think of Messi. That's my first thought when I think of Argentina. I think of Messi, and then I think of South America as a whole. I think of my own family that comes from South America, and their takes on people from all the different countries in South America, and that is where and that's not from American imperialism. I can assure you that my Peruvian family's takes on the people in different countries in South America aren't American imperialism.
But according to Bad Empanada, if they were born in North America, they're not Latino, right?
Very bizarre. Very bizarre. So that's denying even Latino Americans who were born in America. They're Latino. And then his audience tried to play that I was the one doing race science, when he's the one who said that, if someone's from Nazi Germany and they had a family, then that kid's white then. That kid's not Latino. Denying that person their Latino heritage and background just because maybe one parent is white. Imagine that same
just
argument.
Like no mixed race children or couples.
That same argument is literally said by white supremacists who always bring up that Barack Obama is not a black man. He's actually biracial.
Right. Yeah, interesting. Can I say one more thing just about the Doug Lane debate, maybe?
Sure.
Yeah. It was kind of hard to watch because I feel like he wasn't actually interested in having an exchange. And I'll be honest, I haven't watched him much since he was sort of like the exodus from the Zero Books channel and everything. But I remember towards the end of that, he was very much on that why, here's a 20-minute video essay about why actually Glenn Greenwald is being dialogical or something by saying that Tucker Carlson is a socialist, sort of laundering the idea that he's actually being productive and he's trying to sort of attack fake leftists and this sort of thing. And it's very clear now, 6 months later or however long it's been, what was actually happening. And I think maybe there was a sort of amount of rightward drift, like you're saying, with people who they have a certain reactionary tendency, right? And it's really disheartening how many core political ideals go down the drain when that kind of boomer contrarian strain rears its head,
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, that's sort of what is driving this whole thing right now, with a bunch of
we all lost friends over the pandemic.
Oh,
for this reason.
Yeah, that totally fucking mind fucked some people who truly never really, I guess. I mean, it's different with the older people. I don't think Doug Lane, for example, even is aware of it. But it's pretty clear with the younger lefties that they know exactly what they're doing.
For sure.
They were just never true leftists. Someone like a Doug Lane, I think, just doesn't understand.
How social media works.
Yeah, I think that's really straight up. That's it. Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, take care.
Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
With the younger lefties.
Oh,
Oh,
put your-
hey,
put-
it's Matt calling
hey.
from Nebraska.
Hey.
Yeah, the stream's a little behind.
Yep, just shut that off or lower the volume and
Yep,
just
no, I
talk
can
right here.
now.
Yep. Hey, Matt from Nebraska, you said? How you doing? What would you like to talk about?
Oh, I was just calling to comment about the debate, like most people.
Yep.
First of all, to say, nice job. I think that's maybe more useful than some people put it. You know, you'd like to grab some right-wing weirdos and
Listen, I wasn't gonna out debate him in Argentinian history.
No, of course
you know
not.
what I mean? Like that's why that wasn't my point. I wouldn't have because that's not what the debate was supposed to be about. He wanted it to be that.
It's more useful sometimes when someone like Elf wants to platform someone that is like I think a lot of callers have mentioned, ostensibly on the left, aesthetically, I guess maybe even on the left, but are not actually espousing leftist ideas. They're just kind of using anti-colonialism, like, let's say, or emancipatory language to say, like, oh, well, I'm left and you're not a left guy. And they're just kind of doing the usual same right-wing, stuff. And unfortunately, like, I don't like to throw on the word grifter because I don't think in the left space there's a lot of grift to be had. There's not as though there's money floating around like there is on the right.
Grifting can mean a lot, though. I think Bad Empanada made it quite clear how much he cared about view counts and shit. Look how he constantly brought up how he was gonna give me viewers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
while also simultaneously, like grifting doesn't necessarily mean there's got to be a big money angle to it. It could also just be whatever fucking metric this dude values.
Yeah, and I think maybe cloud's a good thing. Yeah, I tend to look at it as a monetary thing, but you're right, it's not necessarily. My simple point being that I think we've witnessed enough in the last, however many years that there is, unfortunately, this very easy slope that we've seen people that, again, purport to be of the left slide slightly to centrist, and then next thing you know, they're Dave Rubin or Tim Pool or whomever. So it's nice to kind of get these guys when they're trying to sell themselves to other people as leftists and expose them as maybe your ideas aren't that open-minded or that good faith or, so I very much appreciated that. On the more the thing, I would just like to point out obsession with the movie Evita just was cracking me up, as though that is some sort of document of Argentinian history. The way that, like, do people understand the American Revolution?
Well, don't forget X-Men First Class. That's another.
Oh, of course, yes. No, the historic documentary. That was Wim Wenders, or was that
right?
I can't remember who.
Right. I mean, fucking ridiculous. No wonder he doesn't like Sam Cedar, because he was pissed that Sam did the I don't care thing to Tim Pool's Thanos.
Right. And I've always I mean I admire you for not hanging up immediately when Sam Cedar was in the title. I'm not debating Sam Cedar, he's debating you.
I know, but I brought that up first. I brought that up first thing because I was ready to just fucking. But then I knew he would try to use that against me, and I don't care for that.
Yeah.
I'd rather just do the fucking thing.
Things to be used against.
Yeah.
If someone wants to compare
I'll be what is it? Discount Sam Cedar any day.
Yeah, what was discount or dollar store? I don't know what that.
Right.
Well, either way, that's a damning with fake praise or whatever. But anyway, first time caller. Enjoy your streams all the time. Like seeing you here. Like seeing you on the Mafia. Like seeing you on the Majority Report. So thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna take a few more calls and then we'll call it a night. Oh, I lost everybody. Oh, here's a call I want to take. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, this is Uncle Adi.
Wait, Renee, hold on. Let's. I know you like doing. Let
me do my bit.
Let's not do the bit tonight though, because I actually
Uncle Adi is very, very, very upset that Bad Empanada, Bad Cook, invisibilizing him.
But I actually want to talk. I actually really want to talk to Renee tonight because as a Chilean.
Okay, I'll put myself on video then.
Right, I'd be happy to do Addie's, but I really actually want to talk with you tonight. How do you think? I'll bring you up on the stream. What are your thoughts on what went down tonight?
Right. I think what's going on here is that what's going on here is a failure to communicate. That's more of a joke for your dad. Um, yeah, I understand kind of like his point of view, but it comes from what I tried to in my previous call on Sunday regarding the figure of Peron. To equate Peron, Peron is kind of like Dracula, Vlad Tepes in Romania.
Wait, Perón wasn't the Argentine FDR?
Cuando mi, yeah, I mean, but I even made the controversial thing about they are including and copying fascist policies and things like
Right.
that, which to an anti-fascist, like if he's died,
Right. Well,
and
of course, yes, they were in internment camps.
an
Yeah.
Argentinian would try to like sweep it under the rug. But and what I say is like in these cases, like fascist policies can be like and the way that they copy say both national policies like Bismarck in order to impose a national economy, as well as socialist policies and things like that. Well, like Hitler was basically adopting what already Bismarck was doing and what already uh, uh, public was doing already with the Autobahn and all that. He just claimed it for himself later on. But Peron is deified because actually it is a kind of like a revolution for the Argentinians of bringing people out of poverty, kind of like what Michael would comment about Lula, or what for instance Richard Wolff would comment about and all that regarding like the giant step forward. You know. It's very important. What happens is Peron created his own monster in a way because by building up that fascism, he kind of like he kind of like created like a kind of like a contradiction in terms later on.
And we should be clear,
the,
they didn't sneak it. These Nazis didn't sneak into Argentina. Perón welcomed them and helped them get in with passports.
and already in our countries there were like files and dissent that actually favored Hitler and admired Hitler because they saw themselves as like, and the Germans promoted that idea of seeing themselves as like overseas Deutschland. The other thing that people forget about in the West is that Ireland, for instance, favored the government, Eamon de Valera, favored Hitler because it was like a sort of an opposition to the British Empire. So he actually gave his condolences to the German ambassador once he found out that Hitler committed suicide. Now, what happens here is that this figure of Peron gets like maligned as a kind of like dictator and things like that because it's not understood the importance of what he had as a populist push. Now that at the same time you might argue that just like FDR, all of his policies and shit like that were only for a specific group of people. Maybe that didn't extend to people, the native populations in the Chaco or in the Patagonia, the Mapuche. And of course, as I explained in the previous call, that there was this the how the Peronists became left wing and allies, and what Bad Empanada was saying. Now, to bring it down like the debunk, like Michael Brooks, about how this Mexican became a white nationalist, we have to go with several things. I mean, we can blame Morrissey, for instance. No, just kidding.
Well, we could easily just blame straight up the number one. The number one blame is on the United States of America. No doubt about it. You're not going to hear anything different from me.
Right. Specifically, like, yeah, I mean, Uncle Adio also was going to comment that it was like curious, and he celebrated the use that he admired the use of racial science that Empanada was commenting on.
That was so bizarre, so bizarre that he's the
Right.
one who brought
But
that up.
that's kind of like, I mean, that's a kind of like an Australian and a kind of Argentinian thing, coming from colonial countries and shit like that. Um, yeah, I mean, what happens is twofold. Twofold is like doing the deep dive debunk is a first in the United States. And for instance, I was trying to get a friend of mine, but he's like sometimes very radicalized, but he actually was deported by Trump as a DACA holder. He was deported to Mexico. So he's very embittered by that. And basically, what he always constantly says is that basically, and it happens here in Chile as well, is that the idea to be white supremacist, kind of like that cartoon, is kind of like the ideal in order to become proper, to become of the ruling class. It's kind of like a paragon. It's kind of like a mind virus that's inserted into the mindset of uh, of the whole race relations in the United States, and that happens with, you can see, with Candace Owens, what have you. Now, on the other hand, what you were saying about the United States, right? It's like the guy admired Pinochet, which I wrote to you that you should mention and all that. It's kind of like, yeah, but the guy brought South America to the discourse by showing Pinochet, and let's not lie to ourselves that everybody was going around with those T-shirts, helicopters and shit on the alt-right or American fascists. So basically, it's a mixture of like Operation Condor. It's a mixture of what constitutes as like fighting for traditions and Western nations. The conceit that here in South America we're kind of like on the frontier, defending civilization, even though we people here on this continent might be shocked, the racist landowners and stuff like that, when they hear that they're equals or people like them in the United States and Europe don't consider them to be part of the West. Um, so basically, it's a kind of like toxic thing because it's like the United States, yeah, the United States is actually what did was inherit all of this like European colonialism, both from Spain, France, and Great Britain, and brought it to all these countries, and then it kind of like and then kind of like with the different diasporas, brought it back to the United States. But linking with the Nazis, they were like very questionable people. Like when with people about Ukraine and Russia, and these both Russians and Ukrainians say, "Shut the fuck up, Zuka bliad. Talk about your own country. Worry about your own country." I say, like, look, Mikhail Krasnov was a Cossack that worked for Pinochet and was a guy that was in the CIA asset, and he killed people here like a communist and union. So I'm going to talk about it.
Right.
Being international solidarity and stuff like that. Now, that same like all those things about the CIA and basically for the people that don't know, like well, probably most of you know, Operation Condor is kind of like a follow through for the Jakarta doctrine. So basically, the coordination of different dictatorships. Now, regarding what I was saying about like this would explain more like what was happening with the Argentinians and stuff like that. There's kind of like a judo move, as I was saying, that Peron created his own monster. Is that yeah? Peron had like two periods. He was like there was strange the situation where he was. It was kind of like a Napoleon. So afterwards, there succeeded a dictator that overthrew him in a coup, kind of like what happened with Batista and Fidel Castro. And what happened there was the guys continued with with the policies of accepting Nazis and shit like that. And I mentioned to you, I tried to message you. There was like a key figure called Carlos Fulner, who was an Argentinian that actually was a part of the SS because he traveled back to Germany. He got into problems because he left the SS and went back to Argentina under a cloud of scandal, crime. But the Germans captured him. They brought him back, but saw that he was useful, especially as a kind of like a rat line in order to take like all of the riches that they seized from the Jews and bring it to Argentina and the rest of the New World. And he was kind of like one of the liaisons along with that other fellow, Rodolfo Feldman. So there was actually direct intervention, like as you can see. And basically, like this Mexican, there's the other thing that it's like what they argue in Bad Empanadas, like and Bad Empanada himself argued was about like the new kind of like extreme right that's kind of like in the that's now in the United States as well, product of the petri dish of neoliberalism and this kind
I
of
couldn't
canonism.
I couldn't get over. Listen, I know he without a doubt knows more about Peron than me. I'll be honest. Of the South American countries I know about,
Right, but
it's very basic. It's very basic for a knowledge of
talking to
Argentina from
you,
it because it's
what I'm
not an
talking to
area
you,
of my interest.
right, but what I'm talking to you, it kind of like understands like the sore spot. But it's the Argentinian is kind of like a contradiction in terms, whereas they might feel like protective of Peron, but they want to kill the Peronistas because it's about Argentina. Um, so as I was saying, I mean, okay, going in a back and forth. What I said about Peron, does that make sense? Especially if I compare him to Dracula, I guess with
I
kind
mean,
of
I don't
like
know
Bela
about the Dracula
Lugosi
comparison, but
hair.
everything else, it's I mean,
No, I mean, if you
I
talk
saw
to a Romanian
from
about Dracula,
from my
they're kind of
understanding, this
like it's a
dude,
sensitive subject to them.
from my understanding, Peron basically was like the modern day sort of right wing guy you hear in the United States, who's Mr. Economic Socialist, but extremely right wing everywhere else. At least that's how they try to portray themselves.
Yeah, but that's kind of like what? That's like comparing him to Eddie Amin or like an African leader or something like that. I mean, he's kind of like more of a popular figure. I mean, to him, he
He's a right wing
represented.
populist.
Right. No.
No?
It's kind of like that thing kind of like turned into like a kind of like melange, kind of like a confusion there because of this kind of like economic populism was also social, and it gave a voice to people that didn't have a voice before.
Okay.
I mean, Argentina was a deeply agrarian kind of like all the things that you're saying about like colorism and racism. So basically, to this day, like Peronistas are seen as the party of the browns, or the people with no education or not education, no wealth.
So there was obviously some, there's being that this is South America, the relationship there between what we consider to be right wing and what tends to be right wing policy is a little bit different down there in terms of
especially in Argentina, and I think it's not also because of the figure of like where they try to like bring the 20th century into this country, into this culture, which is still wrestling with this different elements in this postmodernism of this conflict of both extreme chauvinism with trying to be avant-garde and at the same time seeing
Renee,
themselves
let's pick up this conversation again tomorrow because it's already getting late. And there's a few more people who want to call in, and then it's already a 3-hour stream.
No, okay, okay.
This was
okay.
no, but I wanted to talk with you because you have.
No, you were okay with the conversation.
Thank you.
I think it was basically the he was getting he was like other people say about Tim Pool, he feeds off his audience. So he's like being very self-referential. So if his audience is very sensitive about Perón and all that, it's going to reflect on him. But the bad faith aspect of it was clearly that he was looking for a fight, and he was looking to. I sensed that still there was that bitterness afterwards. That he was like, I want to hurt him. It was like kind of like Robert De Niro's Al Capone in Untouchables or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
And you were
so
like, oh,
bizarre. It was so bizarre.
That's why
have a
you
great
call
night,
him
Renee.
Melt Empanada.
Talk
Bye.
talk to you tomorrow. Renee. Man. I'll take one or two more calls. Let's see how long they go. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Adam. I'm from Detroit.
Hey, Adam. What would you talk? First time caller, I think, right? What would you like to talk about?
Yes, sir. First time caller. I just wanted to discuss the discussion with that Empanada, and fortunately, this seems to be a pattern that some of these content creators are in situations where let them talk long enough, and you just seem to find that they're just not. It's sad. It's like ask you what you thought of the NFL, your opinion on the NFL, and then I would randomly say, you know what? I need you to stop talking about the stereotype that the last Detroit Lions won the national championship was in 1957. It has nothing to do with what your original point you were trying to make, and it's kind of ridiculous and silly on his face to go to the lengths that he was going.
Right.
I don't know. When I see some of these conversations taking place and whatnot, I just don't think these people are actually trying to have any kind of meaningful impact on these spaces. I think they're just here to farm views and clicks.
I mean, he admits it in the title of his his live stream. He didn't even put my name in it. He called me Discount Sam Cedar and admitted he did that for clicks.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get more bad faith. I saw that, and I really was considering not doing it because that's even Tim Pool didn't even have a level of like. Tim Pool doesn't even disrespect his guests like that. And he's had me and Lance on, and we think he's a piece of shit. And I'm sure he thinks we're a piece of shit. And but at the very basic level, if you are interacting with someone, if you invite them to do something and they oblige and you are having an interaction with them, there is a basic common decency you give at the very basic fundamental level. You could hate each other for everything else, but then there's just like this basic level. And this is apparently a guy who agrees with me on things, who's claims to be a left winger, but you know, that's his whole that's his shit. That's his yeah. No, I think it's important. Someone said no need to say Pool is cordial. No, I think being cordial says nothing about the type of person you are when it comes to your beliefs in politics. But I think the ability to and I don't think if you saw Tim Pool, you know, you don't have to be cordial to him, but if you invite someone to do something, that is a completely different level. If you invite someone to do something and then you fucking like it's a fucking big like bullshit to fuck with them, you're an asshole. Doesn't matter what the point was. You're an asshole. I mean, unless you're doing a prank call, which is a whole different thing. But if you're
if you're
like if this dude prank called me, I would respect it because it would be funny.
And you're open about it.
Like if Ben Empanada had set this all up just to prank call me, I would have thought that was hilarious. I would have respected it.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It seems like it's hard to like. There's some people that don't take. I don't want to say, well, kind of say it. Don't take it to where, okay, for instance, Destiny, I think, do some like spat with some other creator, and then like $10,000 being given to the Atlantic Police Department or some bullshit, and it was all off a disagreement between two people.
Again, Destiny's another guy I don't get. I've been on one stream with him, and it was just by chance. And we agreed on a whole bunch of shit because it was basically that election night right wing stream where we were like me, him, and Ben Burgess, like the only three leftists on a stream with like a dozen right wingers, and like we were arguing for basic, lefty things. But then like there's this whole other person he is that I don't get. Like what it just seems like to be a person to cause controversy as a streamer to get views. Like at least Ben Burgess, I might disagree with him on issues, but I think he's a legit dude who always argues from his heart and what he actually believes. These other guys like Destiny and this guy, I don't get what their whole deal is. It seems just to be to farm for content.
It does, and it just seems like, people will take, instead of dealing with disagreements like adults, people will take it to an extreme where, okay, if I disagree with you on this, I don't think you're black, or I don't think you're leftist, or I don't think, you know what I mean? Like they'll take it to these weird extremes, and I'll see these fights on the internet, and it's internet type shit, where people won't go outside. To be honest, they'll use that as an argument against each other. Oh, you just need to go out and touch grass. It's like, yo, fucking need to take your own advice. Like, you're not dealing with the situation with Destiny and the other guy or whatever like that. It was supposed to be like some kind of, we're going to talk, and if you want to talk with me, you got to donate so much to like Atlanta activists, whatever, or some shit. And being spiteful, fucking Destiny decided to, instead of talking to this guy, donate to police department. That's the gist I got from it. I wasn't really looking too in depth on it. I don't know who even the person he was arguing with was. I just looked at this and I'm like, okay, that's two kids. That's two. And it led to like, basically, I don't know, throwing your money at
I know. I mean, I
charity
also want to make clear,
organization
someone in the chat just asked, "Wait, did I just refer to Destiny as a leftist?" No, I don't. I didn't say he was a leftist. I said I was on a stream with him, and me. Maybe I did accidentally say because I was talking about me and Ben Burgess, but me, Ben Burgess, and Destiny were the lefties, the people left of center on this right wing stream. And in the context of the topics we were talking about, one was like, it was on the stream where this fucking guy wanted to like fucking jail all the fucking homeless people in New York. Like that's what we're dealing with here. The three of us were arguing from the same basic side. So to me, what I was saying, it was jarring for me to be on a stream. It's the only time I've ever been on a stream with Destiny, and to hear this guy basically for these specific topics talk on my side, us in agreement with things, and then like to find out who he is when you find out more about him on his stream and what else he does. It's just such a weird disconnect is what I'm mentioning.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I know a lot of people probably in your chat, whatever, will disagree with me, maybe as well would disagree with me. Like, when I talk with people and when I have these conversations with people, and I see what their viewpoints are and whatnot, I do consider somebody listening to be a leftist, left of center, however you want to fucking say it. But it comes down to it. Whatever his political views are, I think we would both agree that Bad Empanada is a leftist. Just because you're a leftist doesn't fucking make you right on everything. It doesn't make you mature on everything or anything like that. It's an immature act that him and the other guy got into. The spat, wherever the fuck you want to call it, on Twitter, and it led to shit happening to where a police department that probably gets about 80 in budget of Atlanta, of the local government, just got a fucking, on top of that, a $10,000 charitable donation. So it's a joke. And when it comes to people like Bad Empanada, for him to come through and repeatedly say what you were saying was a myth, that's ahistorical to the facts of the matter.
Right. Like he could
And
easily
yeah,
he could
it wasn't
easily
just
made his
Argentina.
point. He could easily made his point that these things happened, but also in addition, the US government weaponized it as part of their propaganda. Those are both true. But that's not what he wanted to do.
It's like me saying paperclip was a myth when we
right,
know it happened.
Right.
It's like me saying like the leadership of the West German military was full of Nazis. Me saying that was a myth when we know what the facts of the matter were. Same thing with the East German military and government and so on and so forth. And fucking USSR fucking recruiting Nazis of their engineers and scientists of their own, and they're being in the 60s. Nazis working alongside Egypt because they thought they were pursuing the interests of the Fourth Reich, right, to fight Israel, or me saying that there was Nazis that existed in South African paramilitary organizations that fucking fought throughout Africa in the same time period in the 60s. Me saying all that shit was a myth doesn't make it a myth. It was actually fact. It actually happened. And like, I don't know, just it's denial. It's just as bad as fucking saying like 2020 did, or fucking COVID's fake. It's just you're being silly.
Right. Well, yeah. All right. Well, yeah. I don't even. Yeah. I agree. It's very bizarre. I don't know what's. It's. I don't even know what to say about it anymore. Honestly, it's just bizarre behavior from certain individuals, and it's sad too because, like I said, this dude clearly believes things that are. I think he is. I don't think he's faking it. He certainly believes in his leftist. What he says is a leftist, self-described leftist, and we would probably agree with a whole slew of things. But he wanted to, that's not he doesn't have any interest in anything else other than what he did.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, though, it really annoys me. Really, when content creators and whatnot end up getting into shit that fucking like basically ends up getting in the way of people who are actually activists in these communities and trying to make change happen. And, just so somebody can get fucking views on YouTube.
The boss in the live chat says he didn't deny that Argentina had Nazis. It's nothing like COVID denial. No, there's many different forms of COVID denial, and I would say it's like this form of COVID denial. No, COVID's a real thing.
Called it a myth.
COVID's a real thing, but it's just a flu. It's just a little flu. COVID. You don't need the vaccine. It's just a little flu. It's not a big deal. That's the more equivalent. Even though this dude, like you said, he did over and over again say myth. But yeah.
But thank you for what you do. You don't do that, and I appreciate that about you and the leftist mafia people.
I would never do, because I would never even do that to someone I dislike immensely on the right, because I wouldn't need to. I would be able to just address exactly what they say and do, and that would be all I need, because I would never misrepresent anybody in any such way like that. It's so shitty to do, because if you could take someone down on the merits, you would just do that. And that's what I strive to do whenever there's an opportunity for that. I would never do that bullshit. That was the lowest, crappiest ass shit I've ever seen. And I do think a lot less of this guy. I think he's easily the most bad faith individual I've interacted with in the streaming world. Yeah, no doubt about it. Yep.
But I'll let you get on to the next call. But thank you again what you do.
Peace. Can't believe I'm still going, but there's so many new callers. That's why I'm staying on. This was Without a doubt. You want to talk about helping out your stream? This is absolutely a boon for this channel. New caller after new caller after new caller. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Matt Mercy calling from Allen, Texas.
Hey, Matt from Allen, Texas. Okay, how you doing?
Well, obviously there's some baggage with that, but doing okay. I guess I feel frustrated because I like both you guys, like you were saying earlier. The thing I think with Brad Empanada is like it's a good case of streamer rot, in that he's had to like deal with a lot of people coming after him and him. Lonerbox, he had a debate with, and Lonerbox just the whole time did everything he could to try to say, oh, you're anti-Semitic about this issue of Israel and one state versus two state and all this other stuff. And he defended someone called Aristocracy, who's actually like a straight up Zionist. But my point is that he's had to do a lot of that. I think it's just he's gotten paranoid.
He was debating an imaginary version of me that did not exist.
Yeah.
And not only did it not exist, I didn't even match what he like some people might have even been like, oh, I'm going to give him what he wants. But I'm not going to do that because I don't believe in what he's saying. Like he's
I agree overall. Like like I said, overall you were in the more in the right. It sucks because I've watched over the years. Like it's like I guess like only the last 2 years. It's just him and like Vosh have this whole thing, and it's just stupid. It's like fucking reality TV shit, man. Like that's what it is. That's what that's kind of what.
Yeah, I don't like taking part in that. Like, I really don't. Like, I feel shitty.
No,
that,
I don't blame you.
Some people saw this as that. I didn't see this as that. I really thought it was going to be something else. And then once it was going on, I was like, oh, we're going to do it like this? Well, at least it'll be illuminating for people who are bad Empanada fans. And I think you calling in shows that at least one person that showed that to one person who is a fan of bad Empanada.
I'm a fan of you. I've been a fan of you too, though.
I think those overlap people are going to be the ones. I don't think anyone who's like just a hardcore bad Empanada fan is going to be like, yeah, I disagree with him now. But the
thing I like about him is he has the takes. He'll say some takes that like really piss people off, but they actually, when you think about it, kind of makes sense. Like, he'll say things about like, people will sit there and empathize with, U.S. Soldiers and like how like they went through all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but what about the people that they fucking killed? Like that's the thing. Like people always like love to empathize about the troops, but they don't really care about the people who die, who are living there.
Right.
That's something he'll talk about, but no one else.
I also see him. I think you could clearly, obviously, empathize with the victims of these, acts of imperialism from the United States, without a doubt. They are the number one victim of it. But I think from what I saw recently in some of his tweets today, seems to outright deny that even U.S. soldiers get tricked into supporting this stuff, and then they come out of it fucked over themselves. And I think it's weird to deny that they also are victims of it. Obviously not the primary victim, or not the one you should be worried about, number one, but he seems to like bask in their pain, or it's that to me is weird.
I think he definitely does that inflammatory. I mean, I guess we think it, like we all know, Twitter reactions are the way you get,
I mean, I usually over exaggerate how I feel, but like but I mean, that's I would not do it to the point where I'm giving off a completely different vibe or feeling. I mean, I think that's bizarre. Because without a doubt, poor people join the military here because that's what they're sold.
Some do.
I mean,
it's
a lot. It's a lot. That's why the military's having. That's why the military's having so much, trouble, building their ranks right now. Because you know what, the American economy for the average worker is actually not so bad. It's for the rich people right now that it's doing shitty.
I mean, it's still doing pretty shitty for some of us out here. But
Well, again,
thing I'll say is that
I'm not saying it's doing great, but in terms of how they want to sell it, like there's a lot of.
I think I see that, dude. I think it's more people have just seen how that people have gotten wise to some of that, military.
That's part of it too.
Shit, but,
That's part of it too.
But
the fact that you could just go and find a job, maybe not a great paying job, but one that keeps you out of joining the military. There's not really a jobs crisis in terms of that. Yeah.
He's like, if it comes down to flipping burgers at McDonald's or joining the military, you should flip burgers at fucking McDonald's. Like, don't what the fuck? Like the
Right.
excuse of like I got free college out of it is not like it's not a justification. Because there are people who like afterwards like, yeah, I feel bad for what I did. That's one thing, right? Like that's one thing. But then people who are like, I'm a veteran, I served my country, blah blah blah, and it's like, why are you bragging about it? Like you should honestly, if anything, almost be about what you fucking did. Like that's I don't understand that logic personally. But I mean, we're kind of getting off topic here, I guess.
No. I totally. I mean, there's also people like Pat Tillman, though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you would consider him to be, maybe you would. I don't know. A terrible person. This is a dude who joined the military, realized he was sold a fucking bag of lies, and completely
got shot by one of his people.
Right?
Like,
While also him and his family putting their fucking voice out there to let it be known what was going on. You know, I mean. To throw him in the same bucket as would be wrong, I think you would agree with.
I mean, I think at that point you get into the question of personal versus systemic responsibility. I mean, the question is obviously like, how removed are you and how much overall net as a person, like on this planet, are you doing versus the negatives? As far as Pat Tillman, I don't know a lot about it. I was like, when 9/11 happened, I was like, not even, I was like maybe 11, I think, or I don't remember all that early Iraq war stuff. But I mean, the thing is like, I think there's too much, I think the issue is that there's just so much static around, the military in general that like, you can't say anything negative about the troops at all or any kind of like negative thing that people kind of actually response to it. And I can kind of understand that because, they're good. I guess I would say is that like, overall, like it's like to me, the military is a job like any other job. Like if an employer promises you these benefits and they don't give it to you, then yeah, you should be pissed at it and you should get this. So that's where I empathize with people who are soldiers, but like you're also committing war crimes and orders. But that was also what the Nazis would say is we're just following orders. Like okay, but you at some point you got to realize what's going on, right?
Sure. In certain aspects, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, I do think we're on the same page for the most part.
Yeah.
I just think that I think a lot more soldiers than I think maybe you think are really tricked into doing what they into signing up.
Sure.
Honestly, and I don't think they like it. There's a lot of veterans who come back and turn into leftists. So to say that they aren't worthy of
no, I think everyone have a path to redemption. Obviously, like I believe humans, the vast majority of humans are redeemable and good things. But I think that you still have to realize what you did was wrong, right?
Well, yeah, they usually do. A lot of them dedicate their lives. I mean, think about the soldiers who came back. The hippie soldiers who came back from Vietnam. I mean, they've dedicated their lives to that. You see a lot of that now with these veteran organizations. Made by people who came back from Iraq and Afghanistan and are basically become anti-war activists, completely dedicated to making sure the U.S. doesn't go back to.
That's at least somewhat approaching the right direction. I agree with that. Like I remember there's this one guy during the George Floyd protests. I think he was an old, he's a Vietnam veteran, and he was like screaming at an officer, and he's like, we committed atrocities in Vietnam, and we're committing atrocities here. You're committing atrocities here. That's the kind of guy I'm like, okay, at least you're saying some of the right things. You're doing moving in the right direction. It's not just like weird, like, oh, I'm a veteran and I'm going to put it in my my profile and all.
Oh, there's without a doubt this weird like romanticism of veterans, who are undeserved of that. America lionizes people like the American sniper, whatever his name was, for his kill count. Like that's you trust me, we were on the same page there. That's
27
sure.
hours.
Yeah.
What's the other one called?
72 hours, I think, or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah,
Well,
we're on the
I guess
same
that-
page there. That shit is
Well, I guess my
gross.
question is also, I guess, here, let me put it this way, to simplify it, I guess. So we say ACAB, all cops are bastards, right?
Right.
How, if troops are the global, then how is it not the same kind to some degree?
I think that a lot more people who join the police force, by far, are people who have bad intention. And I think there are people who join the military who are sold the lies and believe that.
Sure.
If
But so
you know,
for cops.
I don't think. I think every cop knows what they are going out to do. There's a big difference.
Maybe.
I do think there's. I do think that the police force in the United States of America is way more bad intentioned than the average American soldier. If they really,
get away
if
with
they
a lot.
really, if they
Sure.
really wanted to serve, they would join the military or they would become a firefighter. They'd become a paramedic, but they joined the police
Well, a lot of
force.
times they have the same,
But they
look at
join the police
pensions and
force.
all the same things. It's the same motivations as people who say, like, I went to the military.
There are way more people who are lefties or leftists who come out of the military or even are still in the military. I've never heard of a leftist cop. I think that's a huge difference there.
I mean, you say you can still be in the military, though. I mean, I remember being afterwards.
I mean,
but
once
still
you
being in the military-
once you sign up, you're signed up, man. There's nothing you could really do about that.
I mean, I guess
mean-
you could say that, but
I
people
mean,
say the same thing about
You don't think there are people who are in Iraq or Afghanistan, sold the lies, they see what happens,
They wanna
and they're
leave?
like, what the fuck am I doing here? Yeah, and they're stuck.
Well, I mean, I guess at least at the minimum, I guess there's gradations, obviously, with everything else. If someone's doing one tour versus someone who signs up for, another tour afterwards, that's one thing. But also, I mean, ultimately, I guess it's a question of, moral obligation versus personal, consequence. But, there are dishonorable discharges. There are, I'm not saying that you necessarily, I don't know, I would never put myself in the situation in the first place, but I know better. So I'm saying at that point, I can't really tell you what someone should or shouldn't do, obviously. But I'm saying, at that point,
it's easy to say you know better too, though. And now, listen, I'm coming from someone who I have no military background in my family. It's very easy for me to say the same. I'm just trying to be empathetic to people. You grow up in a family where you don't know better because you're not. It's not. You're taught something completely different. I mean, I wouldn't say.
In a very conservative family, so it's not about the upbringing for me. I grew up in a fundamentalist family, so
right. But I'm just saying, like, it's very easy, I think, to just say, like, I mean, I think being, much difference, a big difference between joining the military and joining the police.
Sure, I mean, difference, but they both suck.
Right. No, without a doubt. But I mean,
I think the thing is that some people use intentionally more rhetoric with that. Maybe it's not the right word. Inflammatory rhetoric with that because they want to push the Overton window their direction. That's how I feel, at least. Like, if everyone's going to sit here and do this hero worship of it, you might as well try to push back the other way.
I don't think. Yeah, I'm down with the hero worship of any of this. Period. Everyone's just doing their job, what they signed up to do, what they need to do. The right wing is obsessed with the hero thing, honestly. You see them right now talking about how, oh, look at these are the left's heroes, Jordan Neely and George Floyd. No, they're not our heroes. We just think they were human beings who didn't deserve to die. They didn't do anything to deserve to die. They should be alive right now. They're not our heroes. I have no hero, honestly. I don't consider anyone my hero. There are people who maybe like influence me because of aspects of what they do, but they as a totality of a person aren't my hero.
Sure. I mean, even, one of the biggest inspirations for me to get in like politics, but I have many criticisms of him, and I feel like most people should. Like,
right. You could be influenced and inspired by aspects of an individual and what they've done, but I wouldn't and Bernie's one of those people for me, but he's not my hero.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was a great conversation. I thought it was interesting. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, this is how it could have been with Ben Empanada. You know what I mean? Like, seems, but also I appreciate you being a fan of both and calling in and seeing through what went on. Because, I mean, that's important.
All right. Well, thank you. You have a good night.
Take care. You too. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, hey. Oh my God, it's me.
How you doing? What's
Yeah,
your name?
I'm Tim from Long Island.
Hey, Tim from Long Island. What would you like to talk about?
I just wanted to say you're doing great.
Oh, thank you.
Been listening for a long time, but this is the first time I could figure out Skype. So that's why I'm calling in now.
Awesome. No, good. Now you got it set up. You could call in more in the future.
Yeah, it only took me about 10 years.
Hey, it's
I won majority report and everything.
It happens. You know, it happens.
Would it kill 800 number?
I do need to get a regular phone number, but it's difficult. You know, I'm a lowly eighth stringer to Sam Cedar.
I just wanted. I've never. I watch you. I watch majority. I've never called in anything, so I figured I saw an opportunity. You did a great job tonight. Sounded great.
I appreciate it.
Like I
Thank
was
you.
a fucking clown.
I appreciate it. I wish he wasn't, because that would have been an interesting call. But it was what it was, I guess. Thanks for the call. Have a great night.
Talking.
Right. Thank you.
Doing a good job.
I appreciate it. Have a good night. If there's a couple more people calling in, I will take two more. I'll take two more calls, and the rest can call me tomorrow. Two more short calls, though. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, man, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, hold on. No, it's all messed up. I can't hear you, actually.
All right, here we go. Sorry. This
There we go.
Tokyo
Much better.
Hans.
Hey, Tokyo Hans. Really quick, what's up?
I just wanted to call in as your resident Austrian to, apologize for the whole Nazi thing. I know that's a big topic today.
Did you personally set up the rat lines and throughout South America? Is that your doing?
No, maybe a past relative or something back in the day. But I just wanted to say just real quick, as someone who is an Austrian, as I mentioned, I'm really sad that what's his face, Bad Empanada took away my Latino card, since I'm also a Mexican citizen, and Mexico is in North America, so I'm not a real Latino apparently.
Do Mexicans call themselves Latinos? Let's end this charade from Bad Empanada right now.
It depends. More like, yeah, we call ourselves Latino, I guess. But another thing is, like, my grandmother, she's Italian, and my wife is Japanese. I got the whole, Axis bingo card filled out. So
so you're white.
Just to let
you're white. I forgot that too. Right.
Yeah.
If you're mixed with someone from Europe, then you're just white, because
Yeah, exactly.
You're definitely not Japanese, that was the most unbelievable.
History in Austria and everything. Yes, we did send a lot of Nazis to Argentina and the rest of South America. So I just want to make that sure that.
And the U.S.
Yeah, and the U.S. too. Yeah. They've been there for a while. I might have relatives that were there, but yeah, they're not Nazis anymore because they're dead. So that's good. So
thanks for the call, Tokyo Hans. Always a pleasure.
All right, have a good night.
You call back in when we could talk about what's going on in Japan. Have a great night.
All right, sounds good. Have a good night, everybody.
Dylan, CIA. I never claimed Mexico was in South America. Never in a million years did I claim Mexico's in South America. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
G'day, Matt. It's John from Australia.
Ooh, an Australian. These are the real people I have a problem with tonight.
Well, that's exactly what I was calling about. I want to set something straight here. I think Bad Empanada's right. You are spreading harmful stereotypes, specifically spreading harmful stereotypes about Australians.
Listen, I gotta say, what's going on in Australia, man? God.
It's the sun, mate.
That's the real takeaway from tonight. Something's going on with fucking Australians.
No, well, look, here's the thing. This is why I've now got beef with you. You've platformed some Australian dickhead And you're perpetuating the well-known harmful stereotype that all Australians are dickheads by virtue of them being Australian.
Right.
And they're
This
not.
was part of a U.S. government propaganda campaign to
No,
do
exactly right.
imperialism on.
No, they're not dickheads because they're Australian. They're dickheads for all sorts of reasons. They're dickheads because some of them are white nationalists, and they're dickheads because some of them are leftist extremists. So,
Right.
there you go.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I love when you call in, John, because we usually talk crypto and stuff. But I very much
No, I couldn't
appreciate
let
you
this
calling
slide.
in. Yeah, I very much appreciate you calling in for this. Yeah,
right.
great call. Have a great night. Oh, a great
man. Have a good
afternoon.
one.
Great afternoon over there in Australia.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. All right, have a good
Peace.
one, mate. Cheers.
Peace. Listen, I want to make it clear. I think the vast majority of South Americans, Argentinians in particular, are very good. Well, I don't know about good, but I can't say about anybody, but are nice, normal, regular people. There are good people, and there are bad people there. And there are people in the gray area there. Just like in every other country. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I was rooting for Argentina in the World Cup because I have no issue with the Argentinian people. Fuck, I don't even know if it's, I keep saying Argentinian. I forget which one is the correct one. Big fan of Messi. Big fan of the Argentina World Cup team. I was not at all offended by your goalie doing that little thing with the trophy he won, and with his dick where he's humping it. Wasn't offended at all. I thought it was kind of funny. So I mean, I got nothing but love for normal, regular people from Argentina who are not weird, whatever it is that's going on over here with this sort of, I don't even know what to call it. I like Madonna. Not a fan of Evita. Sorry, Zachamania. Maradona is great. Love Maradona. I think I love South America. It's great. It's wonderful. Just want to make it clear. Before any of these words get twisted like Bad Empanada was already doing. This is simply me in a completely unrelated to Bad Empanada, completely unrelated to his whole shtick. It was a relevant discussion within what was going on in the U.S. from the American right wing about whether Latino and Hispanic people could be white supremacists and neo-Nazis. And I simply wanted to make a historical point that Nazis fled to South America as a whole to show, I wasn't even like, my point wasn't even to say like, oh, look, they're welcoming them. My point was to say, look, that ideology went there, it festered there, it spread there. So clearly people can be Latino and Hispanic if there are even neo-Nazis and white supremacists all the way down in Argentina, in South America. That was all my point was. I'm sorry if anyone in good faith was offended. If you are an Argentinian right-wing nationalist and you were offended, I hope you will accept my explanation. And that's all I have to say about this. I'm doing a stream tomorrow night at 9 p.m., my regular stream. I will be reading the super chats from tonight and the Twitch chats and all that stuff. I'll read that all tomorrow. It was a wonderful night with you all. I enjoyed it, even though it was silly in the beginning. Yeah, Dr. Gus is from Argentina, I think, right? Is Dr. Gus in the chat? America has a horrible history, which continues to affect our horrible current day. There's no doubt about it. America is the white supremacist, neo-Nazi capital of the world right now. It's been so for very long. We need to deal with it. Just as I hope every other country that has them also just comes to that very simple realization that you got them and that you deal with it too. I'm not saying America needs to deal with it for you. That's your job. I'm not supporting imperialism. I'm just saying please know that you have them there. So you, as a national of whatever country you're from, and I didn't think this was even something I had to ask because I've never seen this happen with the vast majority of people I've interacted with in any other country, but apparently there's something going on elsewhere. Just know they're there because they're everywhere. Fuck Nazis. Fuck white supremacy. Be anti-fascist. Be anti-fascist everywhere. Have a great night, everyone. YouTube.com/MattBinder. Subscribe to the channel. Twitch.tv/MattBinder. Follow that channel. If you'd like to support the show, Patreon.com/MattBinder. I'm going to bed. Have a good night.